President Biden says Vladimir Putin cannot remain in power, sparking chaos and confusion around the world as the White House is forced to walk back his comment.
Good morning, it's 6 o'clock on Sunday, the 27th of March, and happy Mother's Day to all of you mothers out there. This is Breakfast on GB News with Stephen and Ellie.
We are live across the whole of the UK on your TV, on your radio and online.
Coming up this morning, the White House is scrambling to walk back on Joe Biden's comment that Vladimir Putin cannot remain in power, insisting he was not calling for a regime change. But is this one too many gaffes from the American leader? Let us know what you think.
As the royal tour ends, Prince William says he will respect the decision of any Commonwealth countries that decide to become a republic. So what next for the Commonwealth?
The world's biggest stars are preparing to glam up for tonight's Oscars, and it looks like the Brits could take over Tinseltown. We will bring you all of the gossip ahead of Hollywood's big night.
And it is Mother's Day. We'll be celebrating mums throughout the programme, so send us your pictures. Drop us an email, gbviews@gbnews.uk, or tweet @gbnews. Well, the White House is scrambling to walk back Joe Biden's comment that Vladimir Putin cannot remain in power, insisting he was not calling for regime change. The American leader made the gaffe yesterday during a speech in Poland.
Dismissing the comment, the Kremlin spokesman said the president of Russia is a choice for the Russian people. Biden says the war has been a strategic failure for Moscow.
Where the appetites and ambitions of a few forever seek to dominate the lives and liberty of many. My message to the people of Ukraine is a message I delivered today to Ukraine's foreign minister and defense minister, who I believe are here tonight. We stand with you, period.
Well, Dr. Peter Caddick-Adams is a NATO historian, journalist and former reserve officer and joins us now. Good to see you this morning, Peter. Look, Joe Biden made these comments off the cuff. They weren't scripted. He's not wrong, is he?
No, and I don't think it's a gaffe. You've got to have a look at this in context. And the context is that he was speaking in Poland, which shares a border with Ukraine, and the Russians have shelled to within 10 or 15 miles of that border. And there are 2 million Ukrainians currently in Poland. And Biden was speaking to them and all the other neighbouring nations who are extremely worried about Russian aggression. So his remark of, this man cannot remain in power wasn't a statement of, we're going to remove him. It was empathising with those who are next to Ukraine and therefore, in their minds, next in the line for Vladimir Putin's attention.
Good morning to you, Peter. I mean, as Stephen's just saying, I think Biden was voicing a lot of how many of us do feel. But the White House are still trying to play down these comments. I suppose they don't want Putin to feel backed into a corner, do they?
Well, I mean, there's a bit of that, but I think Putin is in a corner anyway, and I'm not sure that anything that President Biden is going to say is going to make it worse. But I got goosebumps listening to the speech because this is history being made. This is one of those turning points in the 21st century where all of a sudden Europe has come together. And this is the leader of the free world, the president of the United States, who is still regarded as playing that role, coming over to Europe. And it's very rare that a president will spend 4 or 5 days out of his own country, and that underlines just how urgent this is. And what's happened is, of course, Europe is in two tracks. NATO is an organisation that is behind the scenes quite split on how to deal with this. And some nations would really rather not poke the bear and would hope this whole problem would go away. And on the other, the closer you are to Russia, the more hawkish you're going to be in terms of reaction. And what Biden has got to do is gather these very diverse elements and come up with a consensus. And he's stepped into that role of being a collaborative leader, of uniting 30 nations and really aiming them all towards a common point. And so his comments yesterday, they can be taken out of context by Russia, and they were always going to be, was aimed really at reassuring those nations who feel most nervous about Russia. And I think that's what he achieved.
What do you think NATO is going to be like moving forward? Because, I mean, clearly a key objective from Vladimir Putin, whether with this particular incursion or more in his sort of general attitude to NATO, is that he wants NATO to become more divided. I mean, that's an established point with him. This does, on the surface at least, seem to have done the opposite.
Exactly. I mean, in so many different ways, what Putin has achieved is the opposite of the division that he sought. And, you know, even if we were to look back 2 months, I don't think anyone would have predicted that we are where we are internationally in terms of geopolitics, a united Europe. We know that behind the scenes, Finland and Sweden, who've never expressed a desire to go any closer to NATO. They work very closely with NATO, but they're not members of it. Both, I think, in popular opinion in both countries, has swung round way beyond 50% into the 60s, into the high 60s, of joining. And if one does, then the other will do. So not only has Putin managed to unite Europe, he's making the NATO alliance much, much stronger. And it may indeed grow in size. So he's achieved the opposite of what he wanted. But I think also Biden is growing into the role of president. And the idea of sort of Sleepy Joe and the insults that are inherited from his former presidential rival are sloping off his shoulders now, because he's seen to be the man that he was elected to be. And of course, he's been around for so long as a vice president and working on Capitol Hill and internationally. He knows a lot of these other countries that he's visited, and he knows the way the world works in terms of geopolitics. So he's in his comfort zone. And I think Vladimir Putin is certainly not.
Peter, Russia says that phase one is complete. They're going to be focusing their efforts to the east of the country, but we are seeing shelling in Lviv and smoke overnight as well. That's obviously to the west of the country. What are we seeing there?
OK, so we had a couple of rocket strikes on Lviv last week. And of course, the thing that is really hurting Russia is the flow of these Western arms, anti-tank missiles and air defense missiles coming into the country, being used by Ukrainian forces, but who have been earlier trained by the Western powers, particularly Canada, the United Kingdom and the United States. And all of those weapons are coming in over the Polish border into Western Ukraine. And Russia tried to interrupt that flow a couple of times last week. And that's what they're doing. They're searching for the likely places where these weapons are coming in and being stored, and the troops are being trained on them. So they don't know, but they're guessing. And we'll have a lot more strikes like that, cruise missile strikes with missiles launched from maybe 500 miles away. But that's what's going on there. But I mean, phase one is now complete, so the Russians say. I'm not quite sure what that means. We were never told what the operation really was all about. And we've been told that phase one of this operation, which doesn't even have a name, whose objective we never knew, is now complete. So that's telling us nothing. They're now going back to the Donbass, which was always their main aim, which is very curious because so many of their troops, obviously, if they were there to liberate the Donbass, have got lost and have ended up near Kharkiv and Kiev and other places. So there's a lot of, the usual misinformation going on there. And I'm not really crediting the comments that came out after 1 month of, phase one is, it doesn't really mean anything at all. I think more of the same.
OK, Dr. Peter Caddick-Adams, really good to talk to you this morning. Thank you. At 9 minutes past 6, let's bring you up to date with what else is going on today.
US President Joe Biden has declared that Vladimir Putin cannot remain in power. President Biden made the unscripted comments during an impassioned speech in Warsaw after meeting with Poland's president and Ukrainian refugees. But the White House has played down the remark, insisting he was not calling for a regime change.
Sanctions against Russia could be lifted if Vladimir Putin ends his invasion and commits to no further aggression. That's according to the Foreign Secretary. Liz Truss said the Foreign Office has put a negotiations unit in place to aid possible peace talks with the Kremlin.
The Duke of Cambridge has been put to work in the Grand Bahamas by planting coral in the sea. Joined by a winner from the Revive Our Oceans category in his £50 million Earthshot prize, Prince William donned a wetsuit and dived underwater. It was the final engagement of his 8-day Caribbean tour with Kate.
The school week will need to be at least 32.5 hours long for everyone by next September. That's under levelling up plans in the government's New Schools White Paper, published tomorrow. It says the Department for Education says some pupils are missing out on about 2 weeks' worth of schooling every year. Happy Mother's Day to all you mums out there. It's a day to treat your mum with a gift or flowers, or gift and flowers and
Definitely
wine and
both.
chocolates, making the day hopefully memorable and special.
Now, of course, all of these items need to be purchased. So how have businesses fared given that we, the public, have less money in our pockets due to the rise in the cost of living?
It's been fairly steady for cakes. People always like to treat themselves to cake, and that's Mother's Day is definitely our busiest day of the year, and it always has been since day one when we opened in 2010. So, and I think you always really associate cake with your mum. So it's just one of these things that it'll never stop. I don't think, no matter what state the country's in, really.
It's hard to tell because obviously with Brexit and COVID and things, it's been a bit all over the place. But I feel like it's getting back to normal. And this year it feels a lot better. It feels like pre-COVID times, which is good. So this year I feel has been one of the best compared to during COVID. But the problem is my cost of my flowers have went up. So say like if it's usually 20, that 20 is now what we call 30. So even though they are spending that wee bit more, thankfully I think we're having to push them to do that. They're not necessarily getting more flowers for that, which is a bit disappointing, but it's how life's going on at the moment. We just have to go with the flow the best we can.
Well, I've got to say, a happy Mother's Day to my mum this morning, and yours.
Yeah, and my mum as well, who's not very well at the moment. She's actually got COVID, so it's a bit of a rubbish Mother's Day. There's your mother.
There's my mum, Linda Dixon. There she is.
Oh, she is beautiful.
And you know she's... wow.
There's my mummy.
Your mum's very glam.
That's Joan. Joan Costello. There she
Very
is.
nice. I tell you what, we are both very lucky,
Oh,
actually,
yeah.
because we have very good relationships with our mothers. And it is so special. I think
really
it's
is.
so special, actually, and I love it a bit.
And I love Mother's Day as well because, we have very close relationships with our mums. We appreciate them lots, but it's such a nice day, isn't it, just to spoil them and let them know how loved they are because they really, really are. And lots of you have been messaging in and giving your messages to your mothers today.
Yes.
Joanne has been in touch. She said she'd love a Mother's Day shout-out for her mum, Jenny White. We love the show and it would make our day to have a shout-out. So there she is. That's Jenny there. Happy Mother's Day to you. Hope you're having a lovely day together.
Oh, she's a granny as well.
Yeah,
by the looks
granny
of
as
it.
well.
Lovely.
So we've got great celebrations lined up today.
It doesn't have to be a biological mother. Michelle says, greetings from the US. I'd like to send out happy Mother's Day wishes with much love to my friend Jill Harwood in Chatham in Kent. She's not my biological mother, but I think of her like she's my own and fondly call her my UK mum.
That
Which
is
is
so
lovely, actually.
So lovely. And do you know what? I think that's a really good point to make. It's not just about biological mothers. There are a lot of motherly figures out there, aren't there, that we all love and adore. So today is also about them.
Yes, and Victoria. Where's Victoria's picture? Oh, you haven't got it. Oh, that's a shame. We'll sort that out for you, Victoria, because it's her mum, Carolyn. Oh, we do have it. There you go. So that's Carolyn.
She's very glamorous, isn't she, Carolyn?
Victoria's mum. Happy Mother's Day, Carolyn, from Victoria.
And Kieran says, happy Mother's Day to my mum, Lauren. Now, Lauren, we hope you have a wonderful day. I'm sure Kieran is going to spoil you rotten.
Hope so.
So please do keep in contact with us. Do let us know what you're doing with your mum today on Mother's Day. How are you spoiling her? Let us know. It's GBViews at GBNews.
Yes, because the best way to spoil her is to get her picture on the telly.
Yes.
And if you're listening on the radio, well, you can't see them, but you get a name check. So it's all good. So whether you're on the radio or on TV, get in touch and we'll give your mum a mention this morning. We are celebrating here at GB News. We're going to show you our family pictures, not just our mums, but also here's Jake, one of our gallery directors, with his mum.
Aww.
And they were in Cyprus together. And we'll bring you more pictures throughout the show. Let's have a look at the weather for you, and it's dry with plenty of sunshine in many areas, although cloudier across some central and eastern parts. And the detail then, apart from a little patchy low cloud near the English Channel coast, the southwest of England can expect wall-to-wall sunshine, temperatures in the high teens. Meanwhile, more in the way of cloud affecting the southeast, and as a result, a cooler day here than of late. Easternmost parts of Wales will see cloud at times, but the rest of the country can expect to see a good deal of sunshine. Heading east into the Midlands, and here we run back into cloudier skies. The sunshine a bit more limited, with the brightest and warmest conditions developing across the West Midlands. It's going to be fine across the northeast of England, with a mix of patchy cloud and sunshine. The cloud most likely to affect the North Sea coasts. With light winds, it should feel quite pleasant. Some low cloud also possible near the east coast of Scotland, so Edinburgh could catch some at times. Bulk of Scotland, though, will be sunny with some warm temperatures. And clear blue skies on the cards across Northern Ireland. Although an onshore breeze will keep parts of the coast a bit cool, it will be warm inland. The dry theme continues through the afternoon and evening, with the clearest weather reserved for the north, the west, and the far south.
GB News is the UK's home of discussion and debate
from all perspectives.
To stay up to date on the latest stories,
Make sure that you subscribe to the GB News channel.
right here on YouTube.
You can watch us live 24/7 across the whole world.
You can also check out exclusive content and catch up on previous episodes of your favourite shows.
Every day, we ask the questions
That you'd ask, so why not add your voice to the conversation in the comments section?
Don't forget to subscribe. We are GB News, Britain's news channel.
Every night at 11 on GB News, we bring you the next day's stories the day before.
Basically like time travel.
If it's a big story, we'll cover it, guaranteed. But we'll also have some fun along the way.
Big opinions, big laughs. Sometimes big hair.
This is
Headliners, the paper review show that won't send you to sleep like the others will.
11 p.m, 7 nights a week. Join us.
Hello there, I'm Eamon Holmes.
And I'm Isabel Webster.
And we hope you can join us for
Breakfast with Eamon.
And Isabel.
You make me laugh out loud, belly laugh.
Is that important first thing in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's me trying to be deadly serious. News is a serious business.
Yeah, I have to rein you in sometimes.
Well, it doesn't stop us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on.
Yeah.
And it certainly will not stop us reflecting what you think.
Weekdays from 6 to 9:30 on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton Tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
It's 19 minutes past 6. Welcome back. You're watching and listening to Breakfast with Stephen and Ellie. We are live across the UK on both your TV and your radio.
Oh, I have my work cut out. They're not working with you again after this.
I know.
Well, not for a while, anyway.
Are you feeling sad?
No, I'm relieved. No,
it's over.
I'm not really. I'm not. It's been fun.
It's been fun. It's been good. Not over yet. Still got a while to go.
No. Now, a group of 52 children from orphanages in Dnipro in Ukraine have arrived at their temporary new home in Scotland.
Yeah, they will stay in the Calendar area near Stirling before moving to Edinburgh in small family-style groups.
Well, Scotland reporter David Donaldson joins us this morning from Calendar. I mean, this is a significant day for a lot of children, Davey.
Yeah, it is. There's no doubt about that. This is an absolutely incredible story and really one that touches the hearts of everyone, I think, when they hear about it. To the children, obviously from Ukraine, travelled to Warsaw. There was a delay in them coming over to the UK, but for a couple of days that was eventually sorted out. They came over with 5 carers. The children aged between 2 and 18 finally got to Heathrow. And then travelled to Scotland and in Callander now, not too far away from here, and obviously been looked after and trying to settle into obviously a new way of life, which is exactly what it will be for them. As you said, they will travel to Edinburgh in smaller groups in due course. But I spoke to one of the men, Daniel Berger, who was behind them actually bringing them to the country.
It was as bizarre as, hello mate, how are you? I'm in the Ukraine with a group of orphans at the moment, trying to get them to Poland. You know Shai Weiss at Virgin Atlantic. Do you think you could get him to get us a plane? I thought that was ridiculous. Virgin aren't going to send a plane to Warsaw, and they don't fly there. And well, you know the rest of the story. 13 days later, we landed back in Heathrow with the children and their carers. So it's been crazy, but we did it. We did it. When you're so close to it and in it and speaking to all the parties from the Ukrainian government, the Polish government, British government, all of the charities involved, it's sort of, I'm so in the moment that I'm not really realizing actually, I know the end game, but we're not there. And we had this sort of, are we, aren't we going on Monday situation. And so when Wednesday came and we were actually, firstly, wheels up in Warsaw with the kids, then there was that euphoria that we're on our way, and the kids' first experience on a plane. But when we landed at Heathrow, the doors opened and we're all waving goodbye at the top of the steps. There's that dawn of realization that they're going off to start this next chapter of their lives, and we're all just crying. Everyone's crying and hugging each other because we've done it, and every single person on that plane played their part in making this happen. I was saying the other day to my colleagues that this is the best demonstration of British society coming together and working for common good. And I think if this group has highlighted anything to the nation, it's what can be achieved. And you know, hats off to everybody involved, from Ian Blackford to Lord Harrington to all the governments and to everyone. When you come together and you work together, so much can be achieved. I just hope that more come and it isn't as painful a process as it's been this time round.
Well, there you go, Daniel Berger there, obviously instrumental in taking these orphans to Scotland. We've heard there from him and other people involved. Save a Child were involved, the Hibs Hibernian Football Club, Dnipro, a charity were involved as well heavily in making this happen. We heard Virgin Atlantic as well. So yeah, obviously a lot of people very happy about this actually becoming a reality. We'll obviously going forward, the children will go to Edinburgh, and then of course they're looking at perhaps maybe trying to get more children over to the UK as soon as possible. Okay,
Davey, thank you very much indeed. Let's hope they all start. It's going to take a while to settle, isn't it?
Wonderful story though, isn't it?
It is. It's that sort of glimmer of hope for these children. So let's hope this is, maybe they can get their sort of forever homes now.
Yeah, a new start for them. And hopefully Davey can keep us updated on how they settle in. But very, very significant day, as you say, very exciting day for them.
And it's a very nice day for lots of people today, actually, because it is Mother's Day. We want to say happy Mother's Day to all the incredible mums out there. We want your pictures, please, of your mum or you and your mum. GBViews at gbnews.uk. And we'll give them a shout out and show their picture on screen this morning. So you've got something to get your phone out for, get tapping away. And in the meantime, we shall show you some of our team's lot.
Yep, this is our output producer, Andrew's mum. This is Catherine from Welland Garden City in Hertfordshire. She looks beautiful. I like that skirt. Happy Mother's Day to you.
Yes, indeed. This is producer Georgina's mum, Elaine, who's in Sevenoaks in Kent. What's she having?
Is that a biscuit?
It's a pretzel. She's eating a pretzel. Well, how very dare you, Elaine.
Oh, that's a lovely photo of the two of them together. Oh, and a cat as well. There you go, you're happy.
Oh, yes.
Something for everyone.
Look, our Mother's Day coverage continues. And as we head into every break, we are going to show you a member of the team's mum. So in this break, senior producer Saskia and her mum, Wendella. Happy Mother's Day from all of us here at GB News.
GB News is the UK's home of discussion and debate
from all perspectives.
To stay up to date on the latest stories,
make sure that you subscribe to the GB News channel
right here on YouTube.
You can watch us live 24/7 across the whole world.
You can also check out exclusive content and catch up on previous episodes of your favourite shows.
Every day, we ask the questions
that you'd ask, so why not add your voice to the conversation in the comments section?
Don't forget to subscribe. We are GB News, Britain's news channel.
Every night at 11 on GB News, we bring you the next day's stories the day before.
It's basically like time travel.
If it's a big story, we'll cover it, guaranteed. But we'll also have some fun along the way.
Big opinions, big laughs. Sometimes big hair.
This is
Headliners, the paper review show that won't send you to sleep like the others will.
11 p.m, 7 nights a week. Join us.
Hello there, I'm Eamon Holmes.
And I'm Isabel Webster.
And we hope you can join us for
Breakfast with Eamon.
And Isabel.
You make me laugh out loud, belly laugh.
Is that important first thing in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's me trying to be deadly serious. News is a serious business.
Yeah, I have to rein you in sometimes.
Well, it doesn't stop us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on.
Yeah.
And it certainly will not stop us reflecting what you think.
Weekdays from 6 to 9:30 on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Morning to you. This is Breakfast with Stephen and Ellie on your TV and on your radio. It's 6:27.
It's been 4 months since the Omicron variant was first identified in South Africa. Since then, it's become the dominant strain in the UK. But now a London hospital is leading one of the world's first Omicron-specific vaccine trials.
Well, our London reporter Alice Porter went to take a look.
Omicron is much more infectious than the previously dominant variant Delta. With Omicron continuing to push up COVID cases and hospitalisations, Chief Investigator for the study, Dr. Catherine Cosgrove, is hoping the trial will be vital in protecting people against the strain.
They'll either have the Moderna, the normal licensed vaccine that's been used worldwide to millions of people, or they'll have a vaccine that's been slightly changed so that it produces a protein that is more like the Omicron variant protein. And so what we're looking to see, I mean, we don't know whether then the body will then produce antibodies against the specific Omicron. A bit like we have with flu, each year we have a different type of vaccine for the strains that are circulating. Probably with COVID vaccines, that's what we'll have to do.
More than 3,000 volunteers are taking part in the trial over 13 months, and Dr. Eva Galiza says all have to be thoroughly examined first.
We check their eligibility by looking at their medical history, their surgical history, what medications they're on as well. And then we do some baseline observations, so temperature, heart rate, pulse rate and blood pressures and so on.
I've never done a clinical trial before, and today they are running through a load of kind of tests, taking bloods, doing a load of other samples, just so they've got all of the data that they need.
Birgit has passed her medical checks and can now receive a vaccine. For her, it's an opportunity to give back.
I've lived here coming up to 40 years and I have made use of the NHS. And also, as I said, my daughter is a doctor, and if people don't take part and in trials or let them use blood samples or whatever samples they can, then doctors and nurses cannot be trained.
With COVID cases continuing to rise, with an estimated 1 in 20 people infected in England, the need to find a vaccine to prevent people from catching Omicron is more important than ever. Alice Porter, GB News.
6:29. Let's bring you up to date with all the headlines this morning. And President Biden has declared that Vladimir Putin cannot remain in power. Joe Biden made the unscripted comments during an impassioned speech in Warsaw after meeting Poland's president and Ukrainian refugees. But the White House is playing down the remark, insisting he was not officially calling for regime change.
Former US President Donald Trump has said he's shocked by Vladimir Putin's heinous attack. He made the comments at a rally in the US state of Georgia and reiterated his belief that Russia would never have invaded Ukraine on his watch.
Putin's heinous attack on a proud and sovereign nation shocks the conscience of every person of goodwill, shocks the conscience of the people of Georgia, I can tell you.
More than half of Britons think the government should drop visa requirements for Ukrainians seeking refuge in the country. A new poll by Savanta Comrades for The Independent says 54% support a no visa policy compared to 21% who think the visa requirement should remain in place.
600,000 people are being invited for COVID booster jabs next week. It's as infection levels reach near record highs in England, with official figures estimating 1 in 16 people had the virus last week.
The school week will need to be at least 32 and a half hours long for everyone by September next year. That's under levelling up plans in the government's New Schools White Paper, published tomorrow. It says the Department for Education says some pupils are missing out on about 2 weeks' worth of schooling every year.
Well, ahead of a night of glitz and glam at the Oscars, we are joined by Ellie Phillips, presenter and showbiz journalist. It's Ellie Squared today.
Yeah, you know this.
Ellie, what have we got to look forward to at the Oscars tonight?
There's going to be a 3-hour live broadcast tonight from the Dolby Theatre in Hollywood. It's going to be incredible. They're actually going to announce 8 of the awards in the hour before it goes live on TV. That's to try and reduce the length of time, because people say it can go on sometimes. It's quite a long one. Last year and the year before, you know, we didn't have a proper ceremony. This year there are going to be 3 hosts taking over on the night. Yes, three women, girl power. Regina King, Wanda Sykes and Amy Schumer. So they're really trying to inject a lot of comedy into the evening tonight. At the same time, we know there are going to be a lot of kind of nods to what's going on in Ukraine. So I think it's going to be a really interesting night all round. There are some kind of clear front runners when it comes to the awards. Will Smith is almost guaranteed to take home Best Actor for his role in King Richard, which was phenomenal, and he's so deserving. I really, really want him to get that. We've also got Jessica Chastain. She's, through the kind of awards season, become a front runner for Best Actress. Troy Kotsur from Coda, who definitely deserves to get Best Supporting Actor, and Ariana DeBose for West Side Story. She's won in all the consecutive awards running up to the Oscars. So they're definitely the front runners. I'd say the most kind of contended out of them is probably Best Actress, because there are others in there. You've got Kristen Stewart for Spencer. You've also got just so many amazing actresses. Olivia Colman, Penelope Cruz. So they've got a lot of, you know, hotly contested actresses up for these awards tonight.
So where are we in terms of the Brits? I mean, you mentioned Olivia Colman. Who else is up in the running Brit-wise?
We do have some up there. We've got Benedict Cumberbatch. He's up for Best Actor for Power of the Dog. We've also got Kristen Stewart, like I said. She's up there for...
is she a Brit?
Sorry, no, I'm thinking of the film because she plays Diana.
I was going to ask.
She plays it so well. I got confused there as well. Dame Judi Dench for Belfast.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's up for it.
That would be nice.
It would be nice.
Has she won anything before? I'm
not actually sure if she's won yet or not, but I'm not sure she's going to take it on this one. People weren't convinced by her accent. I know Eamon Holmes himself was like, it was a good attempt, but it wasn't quite there. And also she is up against Ariana DeBose, who, you know, like I said, she's won all the lead-ups to kind of indicate who's going to win when it comes to that. So there are a few Brits up there. And also for Best Picture, the main 2 contenders for that are Power of the Dog and Coda. And Coda, we've got Emilia Jones. So she's not up for an individual acting nod, but if Coda win Best Picture, obviously she's included in that. She's one of the leaders actress in it.
And we'll take it.
We will definitely take it. She is a future superstar. And for me, looking at the awards tonight, I would really like to see Coda do really, really well. I wasn't a fan of a lot of the films up for it, if I'm honest. Best Picture, I thought Dune was a bit long. Power of the Dog I wasn't a big fan of, but Coda, I really think was...
I haven't seen that one yet. What's that about?
Honestly, it's incredible. So it's about a family of deaf people, and Emilia Jones plays the only hearing member of the family. She acts as their translator, and she has to make this kind of journey decision between whether she stays on to translate for them in their fishing business or she wants to follow her own dreams of becoming a singer. That girl can sing sing.
Oh, wow.
She is phenomenal, and she's an incredible actress as well. She's actually Ala Jones's daughter, so she does have some kind of, like showbiz background, but I think she's probably about to eclipse her dad. This has really put her on the world stage now, and she's done all the pre-Oscar events. She's phenomenal. She's got a bright future ahead of her.
So she'll be one to watch, and Coda sounds like one to watch as well. We'll definitely have to check that one out, Steve. Maybe a cinema trip.
They're a bit worthy for me.
Really?
I like a bit more, Michael Bay explosions or spaceships or both.
He likes a sci-fi.
So you see, June is up for Best Picture, but have you seen June?
It's an excellent film.
Really? So, okay. Sorry. Don't make my feelings, too clear. I really appreciated how beautiful it was. The visuals, like you said, were incredible. I kind of thought it was a bit long for what it was, and it didn't really go anywhere. So, I know there's a franchise, there are going to be more. So maybe it was just setting the scene in a very elongated way.
No, fabulous. You can't, sci-fi films cannot be too long.
Oh, I can't sit through a sci-fi film.
Oh, no.
Not good.
So, no, I
Ellie,
love them.
it's not always about the awards, is it? There's also performances that the Oscars look forward to. What can we look forward to tonight?
Now, this is phenomenal. OK, so Billie Eilish is going to be there performing tonight. She's going to perform the theme tune for James Bond, which is up for an award.
Love that.
It's up for Best Song at the awards tonight.
He'll get that, surely, right?
I think so.
Look at you. He's like, he'll definitely win. Can I say I'm not a fan of Billie Eilish?
Eyelash. I like just your subtle statement there.
I'm not.
Really? Oh, I think she's phenomenal.
I
She's
think
so
she's
young.
incredible.
Her voice is haunting, and her lyrics and her music is. Oh yeah, I think she's phenomenal. So either way, she's going to be performing tonight, whether you like it or not. And Beyonce is going to perform.
Oh, no, Beyonce.
Yes. Okay, you're a Beyonce fan.
I'm a Beyonce
I was on
fan.
board for that one.
Beyonce, I just think she's just got something special as Beyonce.
Yeah.
She hasn't performed in a while, has she?
She hasn't performed in a while, so it's going to be a big one tonight. Obviously, a lot of artists haven't performed much for the past few years because of COVID, so she's going to come back with a bang, and she's going to be performing King Richard's theme tune, because King Richard is obviously up for the awards tonight as well, so that's amazing. So you won't be dancing around, put a ring on it, but it will be seeing Beyonce in all her glory.
Yeah, well, that's it. Look, Bridgerton. Now, I've not seen Bridgerton, but I know that various people and our producer Anna get very hot under the collar about Bridgerton, but they're a bit disappointed that it's not as sexy.
It's a bit PG.
Have you binge watched the lot?
So I watched 2 episodes yesterday.
Right.
Watched the first 2, and it's slow. It's a lot slower than it was.
It is
good
slow.
tension, but it's very PG.
Yeah, so I've seen a few episodes as well. It is quite PG, but then we've got to remember when the first series came out, the kind of raunchiness didn't really kick in for about 3 episodes. They've got to meet each other first.
Did it?
Exactly. So maybe it will hot up a little bit. But critics who've watched the whole season already saying it is a bit tamer than last time. But I love it anyway. I think it's amazing. The costumes are amazing. I love the cast. I think the boys are absolutely beautiful in it. I think the girls this year look stunning. Yeah, and I think the evolution of the story is really good. And I think once you're in with Bridgerton, I think it's kind of like they can do no wrong.
You see, Ellie and Anna don't care about the story.
That's not true.
They just care about the
action.
No, I was saying actually, Stephen, I really like the costumes.
Eye candy, Anna says in my ear.
The costumes are beautiful. They're very cinched in and pushed up for the girls. And I've got to say as well, my noticeable thing about the boys this year is that one of the lead characters, Colin Bridgerton, he went away to tour the world, and he came back and he found himself.
I thought you were going to say he had a tan, because he had a tan.
He had a tan. He definitely, he had a male glow up, if you will.
He did.
Yes.
And also, I thought you were going to say their sideburns are a lot shorter this time. Yeah. Series 1, their sideburns were down to their chins. It was a bit off-putting. Yeah, but they've shortened them for this series.
Oh, right. Oh,
you'll be glad to know.
Yeah, they look great.
I spot these things.
Yeah, it's very important to know.
Important details.
I think I'm going to have a look just to see what all the fuss is about.
Honestly, you'll love it. It's a really, really good watch. The actors are all incredible in it. The stories are very easy to get into, and it's pleasing on the eye.
Yeah, and very British as well.
Is it?
Yeah, lots to enjoy. Something for everyone, I think.
No sex, please, we're British, was your phrase.
Well, you don't need to worry in this series. It's a lot more sensible. Ellie, wonderful to have you with us. And you're with us for the rest of the morning as well, aren't you? You're going to be back for more on the Oscars. It's going to be lots to look forward to tonight.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Now, let's bring you up to date at 6:39. And President Biden has declared Vladimir Putin cannot remain in power. He made the unscripted comments during an impassioned speech in Warsaw after meeting the Polish president and Ukrainian refugees. But the White House has played down the remark, insisting he was not calling for regime change.
More than half of Britons think the government should drop visa requirements for Ukrainians seeking refuge in the country. A new poll by Savanta Comrades for The Independent reveals that 54% support a no-visa policy, compared to 21% who think the visa requirement should remain in place.
The Duke of Cambridge has been put to work in the Grand Bahamas. He's been planting coral in the sea. Joined by a winner from the Revive Our Oceans category in his £50 million Earthshot prize. Prince William, apparently, we haven't got pictures of it, but donned a wetsuit.
Probably for the best.
And dived underwater. It was the final engagement of his 8-day Caribbean tour with Kate.
600,000 people are being invited for COVID booster jabs next week. It's as infection levels reached near record highs in England, with official figures estimating 1 in 16 people had the virus last week.
The school week will need to be at least 32.5 hours long for everyone by September next year. That's under plans in the government's Schools White Paper, published tomorrow. It says the Department for Education says some pupils are missing out on about 2 weeks' worth of schooling every year.
Gatwick Airport is reopening its south terminal to meet expected strong demand for air travel this summer. It's after it was closed in June 2020 to reduce costs during the pandemic.
Time to go through the papers for you this morning, and joining us today, broadcaster Aggie McKenzie and partnership manager at the Academy of Ideas, Jacob Reynolds. Good to see you both this morning. Jacob, can we start with the Telegraph, please? Front page, looking at these comments from Joe Biden. Some people are calling it a gaffe, others saying, well, he's just saying what everyone else thinks.
Well, yeah, I mean, of late, lots of people have been talking up Joe Biden and saying that he's had a good crisis in the after Russia invaded Ukraine. But I think this kind of just reminds us that lots of the things that people were saying when Biden was elected, that he kind of had this hint of, I mean, Trump's nickname of Sleepy Joe kind of captured it. But there's some of these things about Biden and his lack of kind of mental presence at times, and equally the just kind of lack of seriousness that lots of people have about foreign affairs generally.
But I mean, let's be perfectly honest. I mean, I know rhetoric is very important at times like this, but everyone thinks Putin needs to go, don't they? I mean, that's the strategy, to either get him pushed out by the people or get him pushed out by his generals. That's a general plan.
If you're the leader of a country, you have to choose your words, especially if you're the leader of America, you have to choose your words incredibly carefully. And I think it does highlight a lack of seriousness and reflectiveness about the approach to this issue, that he can't just kind of choose his words carefully and measured. There are ways to go about tackling the threat that Putin poses, but kind of wildly calling for his removal, I don't think is very productive.
Okay.
It was an unscripted remark, wasn't it? He said something like, for God's sake, this man cannot remain in power. But the White House are really trying to push back on those comments and clarify. He doesn't mean he actually wants regime change. Do you think there'll be any consequences to those comments?
Well, it's hard to say. I mean, what was interesting is that, of course, Donald Trump jumps on the bandwagon and says, well, Russia would never have invaded Ukraine if I'd been in power. You know, it's typical of him to come out with that sort of thing. But I don't know. I mean, the diplomatic solution, it's really difficult, isn't it? Putin is not going anywhere, is he? He's just going to... And also, his people don't know what's going on, do they? So, although they're the voters and they're going to vote him in or out, if you know.
Well, not that the votes count.
No, that's right. That's right. And also, all his generals are completely terrified of him. So, who knows what will happen? It's so difficult to tell.
It is. Look, let's have a look at the Sunday Express, Aggie, and the cost of living. I mean, the pressure on the government to, I mean, as they say, solve the crisis or lose the next election. Well, how do you solve this crisis?
This is really, really big, major stuff coming up, isn't it? I feel really worried for normal people and all the bills that they're facing. I think it's going to lead to catastrophe for many families, actually. It's such a worry. And I think that it'll be easy for the government to blame the war on the cost of living rise. So I don't know how they're going to get out of this one. I really don't. But I don't think you know, an election is the answer either.
No. I mean, there is this a very big question. I mean, the Chancellor particularly needs to look at what is going on with what can happen immediately. I mean, the spring statement and all the rest of it, some minor measures, but we're told, oh, there'll be more coming. We're going to look at changing things by the next budget. It's not quick enough, is it? This is the problem.
Well, yes, and I also think that kind of small tweaks to the budget here and there are not really going to solve the issue. This crisis has roots that are far deeper than just kind of shock to oil prices or things like that. It's rooted in the fact that for decades the British economy has lagged behind its competitors in terms of productivity and investment, and until somebody gets serious about the scale of the problem that's being faced by the UK, nothing's really going to change.
And we can't carry on borrowing and borrowing forever and ever and ever, can we?
No. There was a figure, how many billions of pounds it costs us to service our debt every year, and it's astronomical. And that's money that we want to be spending on other things that matter. We'll have to wait and see. There's a maternity scandal in the Sunday Times, Aggie.
This is absolutely heartbreaking. The story's over... it's in Shrewsbury. 300 babies either died or were brain damaged. And this is as a result of an obsession with natural birth in this hospital in Shrewsbury. And they were so determined to get their numbers up on natural childbirth that it came at the cost of all these babies either dying or being brain damaged, and 12 mothers died as well. So what I don't understand is how it took so long in this one hospital for all of this to kind of really come to the fore. It's been described as the biggest maternity scandal of all time.
Why is there a push, as it were, towards natural childbirth in today's day and age? Why does it matter?
That's a very good question, because I know that historically, well, in the last few decades, if a woman was going to have twins, it was taken for granted that she would have a caesarean. And there have been a number of cases at this hospital where, women were expected to give birth naturally with twins and with catastrophic consequences. It's not... it's unbelievable, actually. And I guess, and also people were, silenced, the staff were silenced, the victims were silenced, and it's just coming out now, and there's a massive investigation. It's just kind of all, it's so unnecessary.
Is there anything in the report about what's going to happen next? I mean, what steps will be taken at this hospital?
Well, I think this regime ended about 2 years ago, and I imagine that things are better now, but there's a massive investigation going on at the moment.
It's really difficult. I mean, it's not just about the babies and the mothers in this. I mean, it'll be whole families that will be completely torn apart by this, and dealing with the consequences of losing a child in such horrific circumstances. It's just awful. Jacob, we touched upon it in the headlines there. The royal tour, William and Kate in the Caribbean, has been marred with some controversial images that have been used in some of the newspapers. And then interesting comments from William last night, perhaps suggesting that it won't be him that's running the Commonwealth in the future.
Well, yeah, I mean, they've obviously been slightly spooked by some of the reaction to the tour on the ground, and they kind of go in the statement at great pains to say that we've listened and we've spoken to a lot of people and we've started reflecting on kind of what our role is. I think ultimately their hand is forced in this situation. If countries are going to start taking against the British monarchy as the head of the Commonwealth, or even don't want to be part of the Commonwealth at all, then they obviously, and Britain kind of needs to reflect on how best to utilise the Commonwealth. But look, I'm like, my political beliefs, I'm kind of quite happy when countries decide they want to go Republican and kind of take responsibility for their own affairs. And if they want to enter into alliances and all that kind of thing, generally speaking, I'm a Republican, right? But if you're the British state, you might start thinking that it's a bit of a problem and a challenge if you suddenly lose influence around the world because people challenge the Commonwealth.
You see, a lot of it is media spin, though, which is, I mean, it's the way the world works. Sarah got in touch with me on Twitter last night, actually, Sarah, saying maybe you should look at the local Bahama news and see the hype. The UK press have made it, the situation the UK press is reporting on is non-existent on the ground, she says, because there's just so much enthusiasm there for the royal couple, which is a fair point, isn't it? That, you know, we say we're always quite happy to paint people in a bad light over here. It doesn't seem to be actually what's happening over there.
I mean, I'm not the right person to ask about the royal family.
You're not a fan either?
No, I think it's so outmoded, old-fashioned. You know, I don't think there's any place for them in this day and age, quite honestly.
Really?
Yeah, totally. I think I absolutely love the Queen. I think she's such a great person, a good person. She's done a fantastic job, and I think once she goes, I think, really, come on, let's just ditch the rest of them, quite honestly.
That's controversial.
I know.
It's controversial. Well, there you go.
Only my opinion.
Let us know what you think about that. You see, I'm a big royal fan.
Oh, well, somebody needs to be.
Yeah.
Someone needs to be. And I'm looking forward to the Jubilee, I have to say. I'm doing lots of nice things for the Jubilee.
Good.
I won't be joining us. Oh, dear. Look, thank you both very much indeed. We shall catch up with you two a little bit later on. Thank you. Look, loads of you getting in touch this morning because it is Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day. And it's a nice opportunity for you to get in touch with us, gbviews@gbnews.uk, and show us your mum. Say hello via the magic of television and radio.
It's a lovely present, isn't it, to have a shout-out on the radio.
I think so.
Sharing a photo on the telly as well. Make your mum feel really special this morning. Lots of you have been in touch. John says, happy Mother's Day to Jean Dorian, the best mum in the world. Oh, and there's Jean in her garden, it looks like there. Happy Mother's Day to you, Jean.
It's a very nice, like a sleeper bed there. Very nice, like that. Joe says, my beautiful mum, Jenny, and I, Joanne Windsor, Highcliffe Castle Beach in Highcliffe. There you go. Oh, that's a nice shot. Happy Mother's Day, Mum. Thank you for all the support you've given me over the last difficult year. Love you.
Do you know what I love in seeing all these pictures is seeing the likeness in people's faces. Loads of people just look identical to their mums. Look, they've got the same nose there, same eyes.
Yeah, same hair.
I love it. I'm obsessed with it. And I love it on social media as well when you go through all your friends' stories. You're like, oh, wow, you take after your mum.
Oh.
Love it.
Right. You see, I'm not big on social media, but she's tweeting.
We love it,
Instagram non-stop. Mitchell, happy Mother's Day, says Mitchell, to my mum, Tracy. Today, I'm treating her to a day at the beach in Weston-super-Mare.
Oh, it sounds like a good day. I hope you get some fish and chips.
Oh, fish and chips. It'd be a nice day as well. Get some ice cream and all that. Oh, that's lovely. I love a day out at the seaside.
Yeah, lovely day lined up. What are you doing with your mother?
Well, my mum's in Spain at the moment.
Oh,
so
good for her. It's all right for some, isn't it?
Well, no, the weather's terrible. Oh. It's been pouring down for a fortnight.
It's better here.
It's much better over here. But I talk to her every day anyway.
Oh, that's nice.
I shall be chatting to her a little bit later on. I should actually say Happy Mother's Day to my mother-in-law.
Oh, that's
Karen.
nice.
Happy Mother's Day, Karen.
Happy Mother's Day, Karen. Hope you're having a lovely day.
Isn't in-laws are really... If you've got good in-laws, how nice is that?
It's good, isn't it?
It's lovely.
And your mum likes your partner as well.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone's it's all happy families.
Two lovely families that all just get on. It's all very, very nice.
It's lovely, isn't it?
I should say, I forgot. Mitchell, I do apologise, Mitchell. If we get a picture of Mitchell back up with his mum, Tracy, because he says, lots of love to Tracy from Mitchell, Tyler, and of course the dogs, Fabio and Felicia.
Incredible names. I hope we have pictures of the dogs. Please tell me we do.
No.
Mitchell, you've let us down there. You're going to have to send in pictures of Fabio and Felicia. That's amazing names of dogs there.
Yeah. Mark says, morning, Stephen and Ellie. Please can you wish my beautiful mum, Sue, a very happy Mother's Day. She's always been there for me and my brother Paul. Happily married to our dad, Terry, for 51 years. Oh, you've just celebrated your golden. Well done. And he's always looking out for others. And that's regards from Mark in Lansing, near Brighton. How very nice.
Oh, that's lovely. She's glowing, isn't she? Absolutely beautiful.
You know, it's really nice. We always say this every weekend. We love to know where you are, what you're doing, but also to see your mums and to hear all these lovely comments is really nice, actually. It's really special.
It is. I think there's so much horrible news in the world at the moment. It's just so nice to see people loving their mums. It's a hard job, isn't it, being a mum? Not that I know, but my mum has a hard job looking after me
it's
and,
a very easy
and
job
my
for
two
my mother.
siblings.
Very easy.
You're an absolute joy.
It's been an absolute... Actually, both our mums are teachers.
They are.
Which is
got
quite
that in common.
interesting. Got
Maybe
that in
that's
common.
why we're...
And actually, we should... I mean, I know there probably is a National Teachers Appreciation Day out there, but when you are the child of a teacher, you realise how much work they do.
It's a tough job.
My mum she just never stopped. She was primary school, but never stopped. It was relentless.
Oh, I know. My mum's exactly the same. She's always worked really, really hard. She just retired in the past 2 years, and she's still being a very busy mum. There's 3 of us, and we do not leave her alone. Her phone is always off the hook. She's always on call.
Well, off the hook so you can't speak to her, so you can't get
She's
through.
always on the phone to one of us having a crisis, so she's amazing. So shout out to my mum.
Is she having a crisis or are you having a crisis?
It's always me.
Is it?
Or my sister or my brother.
Oh.
Always causing chaos, but she loves it, she says.
They are very, very special.
They are.
And we've got lots of lovely mums of the people who work here as well. This Andreas, one of our tech staff, and his mum, Eleni. It's because I forgot to scroll up on the script there, so I forgot. There you go.
That's a lovely photo. This one, I mean, the likeness is just uncanny. Look at that. Beautiful. Lovely, lovely photo. Do keep them coming in. We love to see your pictures of your mums. GBNews at gbnews.uk. We're going to show as many as we can this morning. If you are listening on the radio, just give us a message and we will read it out. We'll give your mum a shout out on Mother's Day.
We certainly will. OK, stay with us. Lots more coming up in just a moment. Let's look at the weather for you, and it's dry with plenty of sunshine in many areas, although cloudier across some central and eastern parts. And the detail then, apart from a little patchy low cloud near the English Channel coast, the southwest of England can expect wall-to-wall sunshine, temperatures in the high teens. Meanwhile, more in the way of cloud affecting the southeast, and as a result, a cooler day here than of late. Easternmost parts of Wales will see cloud at times, but the rest of the country can expect to see a good deal of sunshine. Heading east into the Midlands, and here we run back into cloudier skies. The sunshine a bit more limited, with the brightest and warmest conditions developing across the West Midlands. It's going to be fine across the northeast of England, with a mix of patchy cloud and sunshine. The cloud most likely to affect the North Sea coasts. With light winds, it should feel quite pleasant. Some low cloud also possible near the east coast of Scotland, so Edinburgh could catch some at times. Bulk of Scotland, though, will be sunny with some warm temperatures. And clear blue skies on the cards across Northern Ireland. Although an onshore breeze will keep parts of the coast a bit cool, it will be warm inland. The dry theme continues through the afternoon and evening, with the clearest weather reserved for the north, the west and the far south.
GB News is the UK's home of discussion and debate
from all perspectives.
To stay up to date on the latest stories,
make sure that you subscribe to the GB News channel
right here on YouTube.
You can watch us live 24/7 across the whole world.
You can also check out exclusive content and catch up on previous episodes of your favourite shows.
Every day, we ask the questions
that you'd ask, so why not add your voice to the conversation in the comments section?
Don't forget to subscribe. We are GB News, Britain's news channel.
Every night at 11 on GB News, we bring you the next day's stories the day before.
It's basically like time travel.
If it's a big story, we'll cover it, guaranteed. But we'll also have some fun along the way.
Big opinions, big laughs. Sometimes big hair.
This is
Headliners, the paper review show that won't send you to sleep like the others will.
11 p.m, 7 nights a week. Join us.
Hello there, I'm Eamon Holmes.
And I'm Isabel Webster.
And we hope you can join us for
Breakfast with Eamon
and Isabel.
You make me laugh out loud, belly laugh.
Is that important first thing in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's me trying to be deadly serious. News is a serious business.
Yeah, I have to rein you in sometimes.
Well, it doesn't stop us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on.
Yeah.
And it certainly will not stop us reflecting what you think.
Weekdays from 6 to 9:30 on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
President Biden says Vladimir Putin cannot remain in power, sparking chaos and confusion around the world as the White House is forced to walk back his comments.
Good morning, it's 7 o'clock on Sunday, the 27th of March, and happy Mother's Day to all of you mothers out there. This is Breakfast on GB News with Stephen and Ellie.
We're live across the whole of the UK. We're on your TV, on your radio and online.
Coming up for you this morning. The White House is scrambling to walk back on Joe Biden's comment that Vladimir Putin cannot remain in power, insisting he was not calling for a regime change. But is this one too many gaffes from the American leader? Let us know what you think.
600,000 people are being invited for COVID booster jabs this week. We'll break down what you need to know.
The world's biggest stars are preparing to glam up for tonight's Oscars, and it looks like the Brits could take over Tinseltown. We'll bring you all the gossip ahead of Hollywood's big night.
Now, we are celebrating mothers today, quite rightly too. We're going to do it throughout the programme. So if you want to send us a picture of your mum and then text her to make sure she's tuned in on the TV or on the radio, then do get in touch. You can email your pictures, gbviews@gbnews.uk, or tweet us at GB News. Now, the White House is scrambling to walk back Joe Biden's comment that Vladimir Putin cannot remain in power, insisting he was not calling for regime change.
The American leader made the gaffe yesterday during a speech in Poland. Dismissing the comment, a Kremlin spokesman said the president of Russia is a choice for the Russian people.
Well, Biden says the war has been a strategic failure for Moscow.
Where the appetites and ambitions of a few forever seek to dominate the lives and liberty of many. My message to the people of Ukraine is a message I delivered today to Ukraine's foreign minister and defense minister, who I believe are here tonight. We stand with you, period.
Well, of course, there's all this, well, whether you call it diplomacy or not, or it's very strong rhetoric, it's hard to say, really. I mean, certainly there is concern that President Biden may have said what actually everyone's thinking, but in terms of rhetoric, does it back Putin into a corner? Is it going to make him act in an even more reckless way? We've got analysis on that coming up for you throughout the morning. But, of course, the reality is what is happening to people on the ground, those 45 million Ukrainians, many of whom now have fled, including a group of 52 children from orphanages in Dnipro. And they've arrived now at their temporary new home in Scotland.
Yeah, they will stay in the Callander area near Stirling before moving to Edinburgh in small family-style groups.
Let's get the latest from our Scotland reporter, Davy Donaldson, who's in Callander for us this morning. Davy.
Yep, you can see I'm right in the centre of Callander. You've got the Ukrainian flags over my shoulder as well. So the people here have given the orphans a huge warm welcome, as has the rest of Scotland, really. It's a terrific story, a heartwarming story, really. These people from the Ukraine going to Poland, they left Warsaw Wednesday and then travelled to Heathrow. They then travelled up to Scotland later that night and obviously were met by people at the airport, delighted to see them and delighted that Scotland can play a small part in helping people in Ukraine. So far, it's been a real monumental effort. There's been Save a Child, there's been the Hibs Dnipro Trust and various organisations that have come together to try and make this a reality. One of those is Daniel Berger.
It was as bizarre as, hello mate, how are you? I'm in the Ukraine with a group of orphans at the moment, trying to get them to Poland. You know Shai Weiss at Virgin Atlantic. Do you think you could get him to get us a plane? And I thought that was ridiculous. Virgin aren't going to send a plane to Warsaw, and they don't fly there. And, well, you know the rest of the story. 13 days later, we landed back in Heathrow with the children and their carers. So it's been crazy, but we did it. We did it. When you're so close to it and in it, and speaking to all the parties from the Ukrainian government, the Polish government, British government, all of the charities involved, it's sort of, I'm so in the moment that I'm not really realizing, actually, I know the end game, but we're not there. And we had this sort of, are we, aren't we going on Monday situation. And so when Wednesday came and we were actually, firstly, wheels up in Warsaw with the kids, then there was that euphoria that we're on our way, and the kids' first experience on a plane. But when we landed at Heathrow, the doors opened and we're all waving goodbye at the top of the steps. There's that dawn of realization that they're going off to start this next chapter of their lives, and we're all just crying. Everyone's crying and hugging each other because we've done it, and every single person on that plane played their part in making this happen. I was saying the other day to my colleagues that this is the best demonstration of British society coming together and working for common good. And I think if this group has highlighted anything to the nation, it's what can be achieved. And, you know, hats off to everybody involved, from Ian Blackford to Lord Harrington to all the governments and to everyone. When you come together and you work together, so much can be achieved. I just hope that more come and it isn't as painful a process as it's been this time round.
Yeah, Daniel Berger there, very much a major part in this, obviously helping to get the plane over here, so that was absolutely fantastic. And as I say, the kids have been well looked after here. I understand that they've been playing football and just acclimatising to the new surroundings, which obviously is going to take a little bit of time, and understandably so, given what they've been through. But yeah, a real heartwarming story, this one. And Daniel there not ruling out that they may go back and try and get some more people over here as well, which would be absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, let's hope they settle in nice and quickly. Davey, thank you.
Wonderful story, isn't it, that one? Heartwarming.
It
You can't imagine what they've been through, can you?
Breaks your heart, but at least they are getting that very warm welcome in Scotland.
And a fresh start.
A fresh start. Calendar's a beautiful place. I went there when I was very young, actually. It's a long time ago now, but it was a beautiful place. I loved our holiday in Calendar.
It looked beautiful, didn't it? And it's lovely they've got the little Ukrainian flags out for the children as well. 52 orphans who are starting their new lives in Calendar. It's a very heartwarming story. Let us know what you think about that one. gbviews@gbnews.uk.
Now it is 7 minutes past 7. Let's bring you up to date with the headlines. And President Biden has declared Vladimir Putin cannot remain in power. He made the unscripted comments during an impassioned speech in Warsaw after meeting the Polish president and Ukrainian refugees. But the White House is now playing down the remark, insisting he was not calling for regime change.
Sanctions against Russia could be lifted if Vladimir Putin ends his invasion of Ukraine and commits to no further aggression. The Foreign Secretary has said that. Liz Truss says that the Foreign Office has put a negotiations unit in place to aid possible peace talks with the Kremlin.
The Duke of Cambridge has been put to work in the Grand Bahamas by planting coral in the sea. He was joined by a winner from the Revive Our Oceans category in his £50 million Earthshot prize. Sir William donned a wetsuit, apparently, for all of this. It was the final engagement of his 8-day Caribbean tour with Kate.
The school week will need to be at least 32.5 hours long for everyone by September next year. That's under levelling up plans in the government's new Schools White Paper published tomorrow. It's as the Department for Education says that some pupils are missing out on around 2 weeks' worth of schooling a year.
I've been trying to work out with that schools package, 32.5 hours a week. What is a 6.5 hours a day? Well, isn't that what you should be doing anyway?
Yeah, we're a bit stumped by this one, aren't we? I read that it's 8:45 in the morning till 3:15 in the afternoon, which I thought was a school day.
Yeah.
But obviously not every school's doing that. No. We're going to find out later. We have got a guest on this, so we'll be able to ask these questions.
How has it come to the point that schools can sort of have different hours? I don't know what hours. It was 9 till 3:30.
That's a nice day, isn't it? I remember thinking that used to be a really long day at school. Do you remember that? You got to lunchtime and you're like, oh, still got to be here till 3.
Yeah, unless they don't.
Now we're here at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Maybe they don't include the lunch hour in all of this.
Yeah, I think it's down to the local authorities. I think they decide with the schools the times of the day.
I mean, it's lovely as a kid if you think, well, I finish at lunchtime on a Friday, but it's not very good for your education.
No, exactly, and that's the point, isn't it? They're just trying to get levelling up. It's all part of the wider levelling up idea, isn't it?
Yeah, let us know what you think about that. If you're a pupil or a teacher or just a parent, gbviews@gbnews.uk. You can pack your kids off to school for 10 hours a day. It'd be great. Give you a bit of a break.
Be good, wouldn't it? OK, it's been 4 months since the Omicron variant was first identified in South Africa. Since then, it's become the dominant strain in the UK. But now a London hospital is leading one of the world's first Omicron-specific vaccine trials.
Well, our London reporter Alice Porter has been to take a look.
Omicron is much more infectious than the previously dominant variant Delta. With Omicron continuing to push up COVID cases and hospitalisations, Chief Investigator for the study, Dr. Catherine Cosgrove, is hoping the trial will be vital in protecting people against the strain.
They'll either have the Moderna, the normal licensed vaccine that's been used worldwide to millions of people, or they'll have a vaccine that's been slightly changed so that it produces a protein that is more like the Omicron variant protein. And so what we're looking to see, I mean, we don't know whether then the body will then produce antibodies against the specific Omicron. A bit like we have with flu, each year we have a different type of vaccine for the strains that are circulating. Probably with COVID vaccines, that's what we'll have to do.
More than 3,000 volunteers are taking part in the trial over 13 months, and Dr. Eva Giliza says all have to be thoroughly examined first.
We check their eligibility by looking at their medical history, their surgical history, what medications they're on as well. And then we do some baseline observations, so temperature, heart rate, pulse rate and blood pressures and so on.
I've never done a clinical trial before, and today they are running through a load of kind of tests, taking bloods, doing a load of other samples, just so they've got all of the data that they need.
Birgit has passed her medical checks and can now receive a vaccine. For her, it's an opportunity to give back.
I've lived here coming up to 40 years and I have made use of the NHS. And also, as I said, my daughter is a doctor, and if people don't take part and in trials or let them use blood samples or whatever samples they can, then doctors and nurses cannot be trained.
With COVID cases continuing to rise, with an estimated 1 in 20 people infected in England, the need to find a vaccine to prevent people from catching Omicron is more important than ever. Alice Porter, GB News.
Now it is Mother's Day. Very happy Mother's Day if you're a mum out there. And if you're looking after your mum today, how are you going to... Well, you certainly should be. How are you going to do it? Do you remember breakfast in bed? I always thought that was such a really special thing when I was little, take mum breakfast in bed.
And it was always rubbish, wasn't it? It was always cold toast and hard-boiled egg or something.
Yeah.
They probably hated it.
They probably hated it.
But it's very sweet.
I tell you what, it was always a look on my mum's face when you sort of went in with that tray and Dad helping with the carrying the tea or whatever. And she always looked so pleased.
And you'd be proud as punch, wouldn't you, of the little spread that you did. We always used to do homemade cards for my mum as well, and we used to do like crinkly flowers on the front of the cards and stuff. And she kept all of them, little box. It's very sweet.
Sweet, isn't it?
Very sweet, really.
So what are you doing for your mum today? Flowers, chocolate, flowers and chocolate, bottle of wine? Got to do something.
Got to do the works, I think. Now, of course, all of these items need to be purchased. So how have businesses fared, given that we, the public, have less money in our pockets due to the rise in the cost of living?
It's been fairly steady for cakes. People always like to treat themselves to cake, and that's Mother's Day is definitely our busiest day of the year, and it always has been since day one when we opened in 2010. So, and I think you always really associate cake with your mum. So it's just one of these things that, you know, it'll never stop. I don't think, no matter what state the country's in, really.
It's hard to tell because obviously with Brexit and COVID and things, it's been a bit all over the place, but I feel like it's getting back to normal, and this year it feels a lot better. It feels like pre-COVID times, which is good. So this year I feel has been one of the best compared to during COVID. But the problem is my cost to my flowers have went up. So say, like, if it's usually 20, that 20 is now what we call 30. So even though they are spending that wee bit more, thankfully I think we're having to push them to do that. They're not necessarily getting more flowers for that, which is a bit disappointing, but it's how life's going on at the moment. We just have to go with the flow the best we can.
Yeah, you do have to go with the flow.
Gotta go with the
Smaller
flow.
bunch of flowers, maybe the way forward. They're so expensive.
They really are. They
Flowers.
really ramp up the prices, don't they, when it comes to Mother's Day? What have you got your mum?
I got my mum a donkey.
A donkey. Your mum has a donkey.
There's my mum.
There she is.
Yes, Henry, who's a donkey at the Donkey Sanctuary near Manchester. So I've sponsored him for my mum for another year.
And what's your mum's name?
Linda.
Linda.
Linda with a Y.
And is Linda happy with Henry the donkey?
Hey, well, I got a Henry last year, and she wanted it renewed.
Oh,
so
you've
I renewed
recycled
it.
Henry.
Oh, Henry's a lovely donkey. And it's nice.
I'm sure he's very lucky to
We're a
have
big family
you.
of animal lovers.
Yeah.
And so it's like, well, it's, helping Henry out and all the other donkeys at the Donkey Sanctuary.
He's part of the family now.
What about you?
What did I get my mum? Well, we've had a very dramatic weekend, Stephen. So I was meant to go... Oh, there she is. That's my mummy. That's Joan. So I was meant to go see my mum today. She's up visiting my granny in Leeds, but she's got COVID. She's bedbound. So she rang me yesterday and said, don't bother coming. I can't lift my head off the pillow.
Oh, no.
So it's very sad, really. But I'm going to get flowers delivered. I hope she's not watching. We'll get flowers delivered later.
Well,
they're coming, don't worry.
I thought she is watching. Then she knows.
If she's watching, then you know they're coming. You will still get something, I hope, today. Very last-minute panic.
We want to see your moms today, if you would.
Yes.
It's really good to see them. Sarah's been in touch. Morning, Sarah. She's got a message for her mum. Happy Mother's Day to my beautiful mum. Love you loads. Lots of love from Sarah.
Lots of kisses there as well in that message.
Do you know what I really like? Because it reminds me of my grandma. I know, I'm a lot older than you. My grandma was born in 1908.
Wow.
Can you believe it? I mean, she's no longer with us, obviously. But she had that, that lovely white hair. When you get older and you just have white hair, I think that's like a really lovely thing.
So lovely.
Well, I've got to say it's a lovely thing because mine's already halfway there. So I'm bigging myself up for when I'm really old.
Oh, dear. But happy Mother's Day to all the grannies out there as well.
Yes.
And my granny, Dorothy, I'm going to give her a shout-out. I hope she's watching. She was watching us yesterday, actually.
Oh, was she?
She loved you.
Oh,
all
thanks,
mums
Granny.
like Stephen.
They do. I'm very popular with mothers.
You are. You are. But happy Mother's Day to all the mums and the grannies out there. I hope you're having a lovely day.
Our GBNews team might all be working today, but they want to celebrate their mums as well. So Faye is our director at the moment.
Oh.
And this is her mum, Christine, who's from Loughborough. So happy Mother's Day, Christine. Let's have a look at the weather for you. And it's dry with plenty of sunshine in many areas, although cloudier across some central and eastern parts. And the detail then, apart from a little patchy low cloud near the English Channel coast, the southwest of England can expect wall-to-wall sunshine, temperatures in the high teens. Meanwhile, more in the way of cloud affecting the southeast, and as a result, a cooler day here than of late. Easternmost parts of Wales will see cloud at times, but the rest of the country can expect to see a good deal of sunshine. Heading east into the Midlands, and here we run back into cloudier skies. The sunshine a bit more limited, with the brightest and warmest conditions developing across the West Midlands. It's going to be fine across the northeast of England with a mix of patchy cloud and sunshine. The cloud most likely to affect the North Sea coast. With light winds, it should feel quite pleasant. Some low cloud also possible near the east coast of Scotland, so Edinburgh could catch some at times. Bulk of Scotland, though, will be sunny with some warm temperatures. And clear blue skies on the cards across Northern Ireland. Although an onshore breeze will keep parts of the coast a bit cool, it will be warm inland. The dry theme continues through the afternoon and evening with the clearest weather reserved for the north, the west and the far south.
GB News is the UK's home of discussion and debate
from all perspectives.
To stay up to date on the latest stories,
make sure that you subscribe to the GB News channel
right here on YouTube.
You can watch us live 24/7 across the whole world.
You can also check out exclusive content and catch up on previous episodes of your favourite shows.
Every day, we ask the questions
that you'd ask, so why not add your voice to the conversation in the comments section?
Don't forget to subscribe. We are GB News, Britain's news channel.
Every night at 11 on GB News, we bring you the next day's stories the day before.
Basically like time travel.
If it's a big story, we'll cover it, guaranteed. But we'll also have some fun along the way.
Big opinions, big laughs. Sometimes big hair.
This is
Headliners, the paper review show that won't send you to sleep like the others will.
11 p.m, 7 nights a week. Join us.
Hello there, I'm Eamon Holmes.
And I'm Isabel Webster.
And we hope you can join us for
Breakfast with Eamon
and Isabel.
You make me laugh out loud, belly laugh.
Is that important first thing in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's me trying to be deadly serious. News is a serious business.
Yeah, I have to rein you in sometimes.
Well, it doesn't stop us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on.
Yeah.
And it certainly will not stop us reflecting what you think.
Weekdays from 6 to 9:30 on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton Tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
It's 20 minutes past 7. Welcome back. You are watching and listening to Breakfast with Stephen and Ellie. We are live across the UK on both your TV and your radio.
Time now to catch up on the very latest sport that's going on and has gone on this weekend. Stop laughing at me, you. Horrible. She's a horrible lady, ladies and gentlemen.
Got it back.
Aidan McGee is here. Morning, Aidan.
Morning, how you doing, guys? All right?
Yeah, all right. Rescue me, Aidan. What's going on?
Rescue? Well, Harry Kane rescued England last night, funnily enough. What a segue that was, eh?
Yeah, beautiful.
Been doing this a while, you know.
Yeah.
At Wembley yesterday. Yeah, it's a friendly, and normally in March time in the year of a World Cup, you know, you're looking at your first-string players because you're normally only 3 months out from the tournament. Different this year, of course. Qatar doesn't happen until November, so extra time to plan and prepare. Some of the top-line players were given a bit of a break this time. Some of the ones who are involved with City and Liverpool were spared getting involved with Switzerland this time because they've got busy run-ins with their clubs as well. It's a chance to look at some of the younger players coming through. Kyle Walker-Peters, Tyreek Mitchell, Mark Gray, Crystal Palace, Conor Gallagher as well, all played, all did well. Harry Kane rescued England with a late penalty to take him to 49 goals. So he's only 3 off Wayne Rooney's record. He matches Gary Lineker's record. I remember Gary Lineker trying to go for 50. You know, he ended up on 49, but he went for 50 because he mucked up his penalty by doing something clever. Harry Kane didn't do that. He lashed it into the left-hand corner. And what I liked about this game was that it was competitive. It was a decent Switzerland team. I remember a game before 2006 World Cup where the Iceland team played England and were told not to tackle the England players in case there's any injury.
Really?
So, yeah, they were. It didn't come out until a couple of years later. Everyone thought England were great for winning 6-0, but then one of the Iceland captain let the cat out of the bag and said, well, we were told not to tackle. So this didn't look like this yesterday. It looked competitive. It looked strong. And I think England looked in pretty good shape because this wasn't the top-line players. This is some of the ones below. They look quite good.
Good. And an amazing football moment yesterday was the comeback of Christian Eriksen.
Oh, it's just so extraordinary, Ellie. I mean, I feared the worst last summer. I really did. When he was on the pitch, they were struggling to resuscitate him. They didn't resuscitate him until he left the stadium. He actually went back to that stadium last week with Denmark. And he played a game. He's already playing in the Premier League, of course. It's an extraordinary story of determination and courage, really.
Absolutely.
And he scored yesterday within a couple of minutes of coming onto the pitch. And as the commentator said last night, he didn't just lash at the ball when it came over. He picked his spot. It was the Christian Eriksen of old. He then got the ball a couple of minutes later, did a big, nice drag back and thumped the upright of the post. It looked like you were watching him 3 or 4 years ago. And he's got plenty to offer. I mean, he's back in the Premier League. He's at a club where there's a lot of Danish personnel within the playing ranks and in the backroom staff as well. So he feels very much at home. He obviously loves London. And I just could not be more thrilled for him. The Dutch coach, Louis van Gaal, the former Manchester United manager, stood up and applauded. He just scored against his team. And Holland as a team is not an easy team to manage. You can see the goal, you know, the what was it? Something who gathers the what sort of. Is it birds that gather or something like that? The storm clouds gather.
Oh, storm clouds gather.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so I just got my proverb.
Don't worry, yeah, we're a pair together getting muddled this morning. Intertwangled, as my other half
Intertwangled.
We're getting intertwangled. Can we talk cricket?
Yeah.
Or do
yeah.
we have to?
Yeah, I mean, this is starting to feel like the 90s when I used to wake up in the morning and go to school in the car and hear of another overnight batting collapse by England, because this is just... another story, another tale of woe. It's Joe Root this time. He ended up in England's two top batsmen, Joe Root, Ben Stokes, top order. Root out for 5 and all-rounder Ben Stokes out for 4, so 9 between them against West Indies, who I don't think you consider one of the best sides in the world. England just seems to have a difficulty every time they leave their home shores, which tells me there's a lack of character. If a sportsman can't perform away from home, then it tells you something about the mentality there. Now, I was uncomfortable in Australia in December, January, when we were talking about the Ashes. Everyone was blaming Joe Root's captaincy. Yeah, he was the only one performing to anything like his capability. His batting was fantastic. He was the only person leading a stand against the Australian players. And so I thought, it's a bit unfair blaming the only bloke who's doing his job properly, but of course that's separating playing from captaincy. Captaincy is a completely different thing. He doesn't seem to be able to lead these players, and I'm not sure whether... I think they're going to have to be... I mean, the bowling was toothless and the tactics puzzling. That's not exactly a ringing endorsement of someone's captaincy. I think it won't be long now before we're seeing storm clouds gathering around Joe Root's captaincy.
Oh, smooth.
Very smooth.
Smooth.
Should we talk F1, Aidan, and the Saudi Grand Prix?
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, we had all the problems last Friday. We had the issue with the missile attack just about 9 miles away from the track. There was a huge meeting between the two practice sessions about whether it should go ahead. They decided it would, mainly because there'd be problems. There'd be more problems, more of a storm if you actually tried to move the players out of the country. So it's going ahead. We had the qualifying yesterday. We've got the main event today. We hope it passes off without incident, but it's very scary. I think, again, we're talking about long-term repercussions of certain dynamics within sport. I think that we've seen the F1 come away from Russia. We may now see it come away from Saudi.
Hey, tell you what, pretty poor showing from Lewis
Sergio Perez on pole, by the way.
Yeah, but I mean, what's happened to Lewis? I mean, it's because his worst position since, about 2009?
Yeah, I know, but then sometime... I remember it happened to Roger Federer when he got beaten he was imperious at Wimbledon for all those years in tennis. He gets beaten or usurped by Rafa Nadal. It took him a while to rediscover his mojo. I think it's when you've had it your own way for so long as Lewis Hamilton has, he was chasing the record, and suddenly some upstart, in quite controversial circumstances, shall we say, Max Verstappen takes it off him. This guy Leclerc is the one who's coming good at the moment. So I think you might take a year or two for Lewis Hamilton to recalibrate, but I do think he'll be back. He's young enough. I think he's got the hunger to do it. I just think he's smarting a bit from what happened at the end of last season, because it was so controversial.
Yeah.
And the race director's even been sacked. So, I mean, the guy who made the decisions. So I think we can look back and, although some people would like to see a different winner, I think that we can look back on Lewis Hamilton's time there and think he was probably hard done by.
Yeah, fair enough. Look, we're talking Mother's Day today. Yeah. Quite right. Your mum, sadly, is no longer with us, is she?
No, 11 years she's not been with us, sadly, but I think about her so much.
I bet you do. Oh, there she is.
That picture is from 1973. I'm not sure.
Oh, you look so like her.
I'm not sure about the curtains in the background, actually. It's like a pastel colour. She used to make curtains, funny enough. She could do everything. She'd make dresses, she'd make curtains, textiles. She could do artexing. She could do... I mean, her business was care homes. And she was written off, really, when she was kind of about 17. She had a child out of wedlock, and she remembers her family saying to her, look, what are you going to do with your life now? It's all messed up. That was a different era, of course. That's back in the early 60s. But she just wouldn't have it. She would not have it, and she stormed on and had 4 more children when she met my dad. She had a phenomenally successful career in care homes. You're responsible for those residents. People learn difficulties even when you're asleep. And so I'm immensely proud of what she left in my life. And, sorry...
Oh, she'd be very proud of you as well, Aidan.
And, I think about her all the time. Dad died last year. It was very difficult.
Oh.
And, she achieved so much. And I think I'll be going to the cemetery later today, 4 o'clock.
Oh, you'll be laying flowers for her.
I certainly will, yeah. I have to get there. It gets a bit cold later in the day, so I'm going to wrap up warm.
It's that thing, isn't it, that it doesn't matter how old you are or what's happening. Your mum just has a place in your life that no one else can even touch.
I know. The thing is, I don't have many memories of her actually sitting still. She was always on the go. She was always always had so much drive. I mean, those care homes just took up so much energy and so much time. You're responsible for people 24/7. Anything can go wrong at any time. I know because I work there as well. And so, but every time I think of her, it's always going right to left or left to right. There's never any sitting. So even when she watched Brookside or Coronation Street, she'd be doing the ironing. And she loved all that. And so, and she was, one of my uncles said to me, I'm going to be there for your mum in her dying days because she's been there for everybody, and she really was.
Oh, she sounds like a remarkable woman.
Incredible, seriously. I'm not saying it, but really was. And as I say, quite young in that picture. Not sure about the curtains in the background, but that beehive was the star then.
Yeah, it was very fashionable. So they tell me.
You think about her every day, but Mother's Day is just a lovely day for reflection, isn't it?
Of course it is, yeah, exactly. But it should be a day for happiness as well. So
I
do feel
and happy memories, of course,
Indeed.
as well. So thank you, Aidan, for sharing that with us. It's really special.
Well, we are marking Mother's Day, and we would love to know your Mother's Day stories and Mother's Day pictures. GBViews@GBnews.uk. But we're sharing some of our family pictures today, as Aidan just did. This is Janet from Havant, who is mum to our news producer, Hannah.
It's very glamorous.
Oh, morning to you. We've got very glamorous mums all around today. So do send us your pictures as well, and we'll give them a mention and show the picture on the TV throughout the course of the day.
GB News is the UK's home of discussion and debate.
From all perspectives.
To stay up to date on the latest stories,
make sure that you subscribe to the GB News channel.
Right here on YouTube.
You can watch us live 24/7 across the whole world.
You can also check out exclusive content and catch up on previous episodes of your favourite shows.
Every day, we ask the questions
that you'd ask, so why not add your voice to the conversation in the comments section?
Don't forget to subscribe. We are GB News, Britain's news channel.
Every night at 11 on GB News, we bring you the next day's stories the day before.
Basically like time travel.
If it's a big story, we'll cover it, guaranteed. But we'll also have some fun along the way.
Big opinions, big laughs. Sometimes big hair.
This is
Headliners, the paper review show that won't send you to sleep like the others will.
11 p.m, 7 nights a week. Join us.
Hello there, I'm Eamon Holmes.
And I'm Isabel Webster.
And we hope you can join us for
Breakfast with Eamon
and Isabel.
You make me laugh out loud, belly laugh.
Is that important first thing in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's me trying to be deadly serious. News is a serious business.
Yeah, I have to rein you in sometimes.
Well, it doesn't stop us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on.
Yeah.
And it certainly will not stop us reflecting what you think.
Weekdays from 6 to 9:30 on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
7:32, a very good morning to you. This is Breakfast with Stephen and Ellie across the UK on your TV and on your radio.
We'll be going through the papers in just a minute, but first, let's bring you up to date.
President Biden has declared Vladimir Putin cannot remain in power. He made the unscripted comments during an impassioned speech in Warsaw after meeting Poland's president and Ukrainian refugees. But the White House has played down the remark, insisting he was not calling for regime change.
The UK's Ministry of Defence say Russia is concentrating efforts on encircling Ukrainian forces in separatist regions in the east of the country. Russian forces are advancing from the direction of Kharkiv in the north and Mariupol in the south. In their latest update, the ministries say Ukrainian counterattacks are hampering Russian efforts to reorganise their forces.
Former US President Donald Trump says he's shocked by Vladimir Putin's heinous attack. He made the comments at a rally in the US state of Georgia and reiterated his belief that Russia would never have invaded Ukraine on his watch.
Putin's heinous attack on a proud and sovereign nation shocks the conscience of every person of goodwill, shocks the conscience of the people of Georgia, I can tell you.
More than half of Britons think the government should drop visa requirements for Ukrainians seeking refuge in the country. A new poll by Savanta Comres for The Independent reveals 54% support a no-visa policy, compared to 21% who think the visa requirement should remain in place.
The second black box from the China Eastern Airlines plane that crashed last Monday has been recovered. Rescuers say it was found underground, about 40 metres from where the Boeing 737 crashed in the Guangxi region in southern China. 132 people were on board. There were no survivors. The box will now be sent to Beijing to be analysed with the other black box that was found last week.
600,000 people are being invited for COVID booster jabs next week. It's as infection levels reach near record highs in England, with official figures estimating 1 in 16 people had the virus last week.
The school week will need to be at least 32.5 hours long for everyone by September next year. That's under levelling up plans in the government's schools white paper due to be published tomorrow. It says the Department for Education says some pupils are missing out on about 2 weeks' worth of schooling every year.
It's 7:34 and it's time to go through the papers now. Joining us this morning is broadcaster Aggie McKenzie and partnerships manager at the Academy of Ideas, Jacob Reynolds. Good morning to both of you. Thank you very much for joining us on this Sunday. And happy Mother's Day, Aggie.
Thank you very much.
What have your kids got planned for you today?
Well, I'm very lucky in that I have 2 boys and they're both chefs and they're cooking for me today. So isn't that lovely?
Very
nice.
That's a perk, isn't it?
I know.
Do you know what's on the menu?
Well, I've been told it's paella, which is it's not bad, is it? I mean, it's not a big roast, but I'm happy with that.
Yeah, well, what about the calories in it, though, Aggie? Because the Sunday Times looking at calorie counting.
That's right. Interesting story. So from April the 6th, large restaurants have to publish the number of calories that are going into a main course. Because at the moment, some places are serving main courses that have around maybe between 2,000 and 3,000 calories, which is the
that's
sort
a
of
day's amount.
intake for that's right, for a day's amount. So this is a drive towards healthier eating.
It works, though, doesn't it? I mean, it's a good. I mean, I've been to fast food places in the past where they now put up calories, and I've walked out again.
That's interesting. So actually, it has registered.
Yeah.
You think I can't be? Yeah. I mean, I suppose. There are a couple of things here. I mean, daily specials are going to be exempt, so I'm not quite sure how that plays out. And the other thing to remember is that all healthy eating is not about low in calories, because if you look at things like avocado and nuts, you know, they're both really good things to eat, but they're high in calories. So you have to sort of
it's good fats and bad fats, isn't it?
Right.
And of course, whenever we talk about calories being on menus, I think it's actually really handy. It does kind of keep you on track, doesn't it? When you're in a restaurant, it would make you think perhaps twice about overindulging. But you always get these eating disorder campaign groups who are saying it's really triggering for people who do struggle with their eating to see those numbers. It is. It's a difficult one.
I suppose they're less likely to be going to restaurants.
Well, I know.
I mean, is that a bit? I just sort of think you've got to cater for the majority, and the majority of people. And I hate to see calories on things, but it is useful. It is useful.
I guess when I'm out for a meal, it feels like a treat. So I don't want to be told how many calories I'm having. You know, if I overindulge, then I'll just kind of.
It does spoil the fun,
the next
doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know on the Wetherspoons menu they've got all the calories. It's so much more than you think it is. I remember the portion of chips is like 1,000 calories. You just put them on the side usually. But
yes, I think a lot of places after this legislation they're going to be like making their portions like so. The chips you'll get fewer chips.
Yeah.
But who knows whether they'll reduce their prices? Well,
probably not.
That's it,
but if there's lower, I mean, it's a good. I think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
I do.
No, me too.
Nanny state, maybe. I don't know. Let us know what you think.
Yeah, do let us know what you think. Jacob, you might have heard our reporter David Donaldson's report a little bit earlier on about 52 children from Ukraine coming here, starting a new life in Scotland. This is a refugee crisis that we are seeing. It's in the Daily Mail, a mother of two's daring mission to rescue more than 100 people. It's an amazing story.
Well, I mean, this is just one of many stories either connected about the refugee issue or, in this case, the kind of incredible bravery that's shown by lots of people in Ukraine. I do urge people to go and read this story in the Mail. Incredible what these group of people did, managing to go in and out of Mariupol and bring people kind of who were basically sheltering amidst rubble out of the city. As I say, it kind of underlines, I mean, both the huge human costs of this invasion. And I think, to be honest, we're going to be seeing perhaps more stories like this as more news comes out of Mariupol, which has been kind of closed off to the world for quite a time, really. But in this case, an incredible story of bravery, incredible story of courage, and I think that's what really resonates for a lot of people in the stories of Ukraine's resistance, is the courage, bravery and determination shown by people over there.
Absolutely. I mean, we're seeing the worst of humanity, aren't we, with this invasion, but also the very best, people who are going out there and rescuing people and bringing them back to their homes in some cases.
And I mean, this is connected with the broader issue of how the war is going, and I think it just shows the determination of the Ukrainian people to kind of fight against the invasion and also do whatever they can to rescue their countrymen. And these stories of bravery and solidarity in people across Ukraine and across Poland and neighbouring countries kind of opening their homes to people fleeing the war are hugely encouraging stories.
Yeah, it is positive, though it's hugely dangerous. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, how dangerous to head into Mariupol at the moment. Aggie, now this is going to get people's goat. It's in the Mail on Sunday. The Loch Ness Monster. Now, I'm sure I saw Nessie once.
You did?
I did see Nessie once.
Eyes.
With my own eyes. I had a little tam o' shanter on at the time. I remember I was about 8. I did see Nessie, but apparently I can't tell anyone anymore.
Well, this is such a ridiculous story. There's been a 17-page social studies lesson plan done for Scottish teachers, because now Scottish pupils are going to be taught that the Loch Ness Monster, did you get that? Loch Ness Monster.
That's nice, yeah.
Is anti-Scottish.
Anti-Scottish?
Yes, and the legend was a creation of the British class system that portrayed Scotland as primitive. So it's a kind of message to Scottish pupils that, you know, we're better than the Loch Ness Monster.
Oh,
I mean,
come on.
It's a piece of fun, isn't it? It really is. I think that's nonsense, actually. I wonder how much money's gone into this as well.
Well, how damaging is this going to be for the towns around Loch Ness?
Exactly, in the tourist industry.
Tourism industry.
Yes, that's right.
And the number of, you can't buy a tin of shortbread around there without a picture of Nessie on the front.
At least one.
Yeah, I think this is
the world's gone mad, hasn't it?
It's crackers. And although we joke about Nessie perhaps not existing, there's been, and I know they've not found her, but there's a lot of people take it very seriously. There's been a lot of scientific studies up and down the lake and all the sort of sonic scouring of the loch to try and find her. So a lot of people think she is there, or was.
Yeah, I think Nessie's a man.
Do you?
I do. I think Nessie's male. We better not get into gender. That's a whole other subject, isn't it?
That's a whole other kind of fish, yeah. Or a monster, should I say?
Monster.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Aggie Mackenzie, the broadcaster, and Jacob Reynolds, Partnerships Manager at Academy of Ideas. Wonderful to have you both on this morning. And you're going to be with us for the rest of the morning. You're not going anywhere, are you?
No, not let them out yet. Not let them out yet. It is 7:42. Let's bring you up to date with the headlines. And President Biden has declared that Vladimir Putin cannot remain in power. He made the unscripted comments during an impassioned speech in Warsaw after meeting Poland's president and Ukrainian refugees. But the White House has played down the remark, insisting he's not calling for regime change.
More than half of Britons think the government should drop visa requirements for Ukrainians seeking refuge in the country. A new poll by Savanta Comres for The Independent reveals 54% support a no-visa policy, compared to 21% who think the visa requirement should remain in place.
The Duke of Cambridge has been put to work in the Grand Bahamas. He's been planting coral in the sea, joined by a winner from the Revive Our Oceans category in his £50 million Earthshot prize. William donned a wetsuit, dived underwater in what was the final engagement of his 8-day Caribbean tour with Kate.
Gatwick Airport is reopening its South Terminal to meet expected strong demand for air travel this summer. It's after it was closed in June 2020 to reduce costs during the pandemic.
Now, 600,000 people are being invited for COVID booster jabs. Jab number 4 this coming week. It's as infection levels reach near record highs in England. Official figures reckon that 1 in 16 people had the virus last week.
Well, with us now to look at the rise of the COVID cases is Professor Hugh Pennington from the University of Aberdeen. Good morning to you, Professor, and thank you so much for joining us. So we are seeing, we just heard there, 1 in 16 people had the virus last week. Why are we seeing this rise?
It's down to this variant, Omicron, and it's kind of a progeny, the B2 variant of Omicron, which is very, very good at growing, particularly in your nose. The virus grows in your nose, it grows in your throat, it gets down into your lungs. What this virus, fortunately, it may be very good at getting about, because we know that it gets about, you breathe it out, somebody breathes it in, bingo, you've got an infection. It is nowhere near as good as in growing in the lungs, which is a danger thing. And so it's not as nasty as Delta and all the other variants that we've known about, going way back to Wuhan, a couple of years ago and all that kind of thing. So that's the good news. The bad news, of course, is there's a deal of virus about because it gets about, and it's even spreading in China, which has had this zero COVID policy. The figure really to look at, it'd be nice if we had much lower infection rates. The figures to look at are how many people are being driven into hospital by the virus, and particularly how many people end up in intensive care and so on. Because those are the people who suffer particularly hard, and unfortunately some of them don't make it. And those are the figures to watch. Unfortunately, they're not anywhere near as bad as one would expect if this was one of the previous variants. So that's the good news. What we do know about Omicron and the B2 is it's very good at infecting people who've already had an infection with COVID. And the vaccine works against it, but you really need to have a very strong immune response. And that's why we're having the boosters, because the booster really gives you a supercharged immune response and protects you against the virus getting down into the lungs and causing the serious damage that might put you in intensive care.
I mean, the trouble is, whenever we look at the figures and we say, look, the infections are huge, but the hospitalisations are comparatively small, plenty of people say, well, it just goes to show it's not that dangerous. Are we in this position that we're in now because of the vaccine programme so far?
If we hadn't had the vaccine, goodness only knows where we'd be. I mean, we'd be far worse in terms of the number of deaths, simple and straightforward, because this virus can still kill. But it really doesn't go for very young people. It doesn't go for children. It doesn't go for even middle-aged adults have a very, very low chance of having a very serious infection. The one thing that's absolutely characteristic about all the variants of COVID is the relationship with age. The older you are, the more likely you are to have a hard time. And that's why they're focusing with the booster on people with damaged immune systems, but also and the most important group in terms of numbers are the elderly, because it's quite unlike any other virus in the relationship between age and nastiness, that the younger you are, the more likely you are not to have even any symptoms at all. And even if you do get symptoms, it's like a cold and all that kind of thing. And in fact, the virus is doing extremely well in the young. It's not causing them any serious damage, but the elderly are the people we're trying to protect with the booster. And the booster protects very well, because we know all coronaviruses produce an immune response when you've been infected, but after a few months, that immune response wanes, it diminishes, and it doesn't protect you anywhere near as well. You have a booster, bingo, you go right back. You're probably even better than you were after your first 2 or even 3 doses of the vaccine. So that's why the booster program is being rolled out, and that's why it's protecting.
I mean, 600,000 people being invited this week. I mean, it sounds a lot, but when you look at how many people are going to have to get this fourth booster, say the older population, those who are immunocompromised, like me, actually, with a type 1 diabetes, it's still going to take quite a while, isn't it, to get that fourth booster out?
Yes, it will. I mean, the big thing really is to make sure that everybody who is basically eligible for the vaccine turns up and gets it. And in fact, we know that the vaccine program has been particularly successful in the elderly. They're socially responsible and they want to be protected. 600,000, well, it's a start, and the program will roll on. And the policy is really to wait 6 months after your last booster, because many of these people have already had their first booster. They had the 2 doses of the original one, then they had a booster, and 6 months after that booster, you come in with another one to really take things back to where you would like to have been, very, very soon after the 3 or 4 weeks after the first vaccine sort of regime had finished. So
yes.
I have to start somewhere, and 600,000 is not a trivial number.
No.
And Professor, on that note, so if you are having a booster soon, would you expect to then have a 5th booster in another 6 months? Is that how we're looking for the trajectory going forward?
Time will tell, but that's my guess. That's my guess, that for the people who are really at risk with the virus, the elderly, immunocompromised people and so on, I would expect, unless the virus just fades away and disappears, which nobody's talking about that happening, I think another booster on the horizon is quite likely. It's not certain, but it's quite likely. And you just get it at the same time as you get your flu jab, because we'll be moving into the flu season starting towards the end of this year, and of course we're away from that. But then we'll know what the virus is doing, whether it's necessary, and so on. But of course, the booster, it's just a question of going to the vaccination centre and having a jab in your arm. It's really, for all practical purposes, it's a trivial thing. And as I say, they'll roll it out along with the flu vaccine, because the 2 can be given at the same time. Not in the same bottle yet, but that might happen, where you just have the flu vaccine itself has got several virus antigens in it, and we could roll that up with the COVID booster for that segment of the population, the elderly, who we've been focusing on for flu jabs for years and years.
Yeah. OK, Professor Pennington, it's really good to talk to you. Thanks very much indeed.
Yeah.
I mean, the problem I have is that I know I'm eligible for a 4th vaccine, but I don't know when, and I just want it.
You're waiting
now.
for your call
I want it. I feel like ringing the doctor tomorrow and saying, I want my jab. But if you've got to wait 6 months, then it'd be a little while yet.
Yeah, I think there'll be a lot of people feeling the same way as you. There's a lot of anxiety around at the moment, isn't there? Because we are seeing those cases creeping up. And my mum's got it now on Mother's Day.
She's quite badly with it.
Very bad with it, actually. The first day she looked like it would be quite mild, and yeah, she's now bedbound. So wish you better, Mum, if you're watching, and happy Mother's Day to you.
Now, let's catch up on all the very latest showbiz news, because it is the biggest night in the showbiz calendar tonight. Ellie Phillips is here. Good to see you. Oscars.
Oh, I'm so excited that it's taking place tonight. I can't even tell you. And it's all going to be back to normal as we know it. There's going to be stars filling the red carpet, speeches on the stage, so much happening, all the fashion, and of course all the statements of protest against Ukraine that we know are going to come from all the actors as well. So it's a really, really exciting one. I wanted to let you know something as well, Stephen. You asked me before, you pulled me up, and I didn't have my notes and I've had like 1 hour sleep. Judi Dench has won an Oscar before. Yeah, and I can't believe I forgot this, but it was back in 1999. She won Best Supporting Actress for Shakespeare in Love.
Ah, right.
She was good in that.
Right. Oh, good. Well, it's about time she got a second one.
I think so.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while.
So what's she up for? Is it Best Actress in?
She's Best Supporting Actress for Belfast. Yeah, she played the grandma in that, and she was good. I just wasn't too keen on her accent in it, but it's a hard accent to pull off. It's like when anyone tries to do Scouse accents, and we listen to it as Liverpudlians, and we're like, that's not what we sound like. That's not the same. We know it's not, So I think it's quite a tricky one to do that. She's up for that. We talked about Brits earlier. Olivia Colman is up for Lost Daughter, and she previously won as well. She won Best Actress in 2019 for The Favourite. I've done my research now. You can't catch me out again. And Benedict Cumberbatch actually had one previous nomination as well. He was up for Best Actor in 2015 for The Imitation Game, which was really good. He was amazing in that as well. Yeah, that was a really, really good one. Yeah.
So do you think we're likely to get any of those? No.
I really don't. I think... sorry, I know, disappointment
Bring us right down.
yeah, I would be really, really surprised if those three walked away with awards tonight. I think Benedict Cumberbatch is obviously so deserving of it. He, as much as I'm not a big fan of the film Power of the Dog, he is amazing in it. His performance is phenomenal. But I think Will Smith, I think it's just his time. You know, Will Smith, this is the first time he's actually, you know, winning an award if he wins it for the Oscars. He's previously been nominated twice for Best Actor, Pursuit of Happiness and Ali. And you just think about those and you're like, wow, how has he not gotten already? His talent is so versatile as well. And I think that's it. Sometimes with the Academy Awards, when it comes to who wins on the night, I feel like it's not always necessarily that individual performance that they're nominated for. It's almost an accumulation of their career to date. If you look at Leonardo DiCaprio with The Revenant, I mean, it's an odd choice of film, but no one could believe that he hadn't won to that point. So I think, I think this is Will Smith's time. And I think with the other categories, like I said, the actors and actresses that are up for them, it's kind of been set in motion from the awards that lead up to the Oscars that they are odds on to win. But you never know, it's the Oscars, there could be some big upsets, and I guess we'll find out tonight,
Anything could happen. But it is about the performances as well, not just about the awards, and we've got a great night lined up.
We have. It's so exciting. We're going to see Billie Eilish live on stage. We're going to see Beyonce performing as well. But also, you know, I think there is some nervousness when it comes to the Oscars tonight as well, because, you know, anything could happen when it comes to COVID. I know you guys were just talking about it then, and cases rising.
Very bad.
Excuse me.
Yeah, I know, like that. I might just scooch a bit further away.
I did a COVID test yesterday, actually. It was fine.
Well, you did one, but to get to the Oscars, you have to have two.
Oh.
So you have to have two negative COVID tests, PCR tests, to prove that you are, you know, safe and you can be there, because obviously there are going to be a lot of people at this, a packed out red carpet. Already, we've got Lin-Manuel Miranda. His wife has tested positive, and so he said that he's therefore not going to go. You know, he's made that decision. Who knows whether he will test positive.
Will he still get the goodie bag then? Because the goodie bags are amazing.
Amazing goodie bags. Yes, he will. So they're already being delivered to nominees.
Oh, right.
Yeah, they get kind of dumped on their doorstep, if you will, a bit more elegantly than that. And they're enormous. There's loads in them. They're worth about £70,000.
Whoa!
Yes, I know.
What's in them?
Just for nominees. OK, so the big thing in them is there is a stay at this incredible spa in Hollywood, which is like the A-list spa. It's behind gold doors, and you go there for like rejuvenation and hiking in the open air.
Very LA.
Michelin star food and, you know, detoxing. Yeah. So that alone is worth a whack. And then there are also products from people who behind the scenes have sponsored things as well. You get face creams, you get... I mean, previous years people have gotten cars. To be a nominee at the Oscars, I mean, I would quite like to be a nominee.
We're all in the wrong game, aren't we? We're all in the wrong game.
I love it. Ellie, thank you very much indeed. We'll catch up with you a little bit later on for a bit more glitz and glam. Lots more Mother's Day pictures, and let's just show you Joseph, one of our breakfast producers, with his, that's him on the left, with his brother Luke and their mum Kim in New York. Happy Mother's Day to you, Kim. Let's have a look at the weather for you, and it's dry with plenty of sunshine in many areas, although cloudier across some central and eastern parts. And the detail then, apart from a little patchy low cloud near the English Channel coast, the southwest of England can expect wall-to-wall sunshine, temperatures in the high teens. Meanwhile, more in the way of cloud affecting the southeast, and as a result, a cooler day here than of late. Easternmost parts of Wales will see cloud at times, but the rest of the country can expect to see a good deal of sunshine. Heading east into the Midlands, and here we run back into cloudier skies. The sunshine a bit more limited, with the brightest and warmest conditions developing across the West Midlands. It's going to be fine across the northeast of England, with a mix of patchy cloud and sunshine. The cloud most likely to affect the North Sea coasts. With light winds, it should feel quite pleasant. Some low cloud also possible near the east coast of Scotland, so Edinburgh could catch some at times. Bulk of Scotland, though, will be sunny with some warm temperatures. And clear blue skies on the cards across Northern Ireland. Although an onshore breeze will keep parts of the coast a bit cool, it will be warm inland. The dry theme continues through the afternoon and evening, with the clearest weather reserved for the north, the west and the far south.
GB News is the UK's home of discussion and debate.
From all perspectives.
To stay up to date on the latest stories,
make sure that you subscribe to the GB News channel
right here on YouTube.
You can watch us live 24/7 across the whole world.
You can also check out exclusive content and catch up on previous episodes of your favourite shows.
Every day, we ask the questions
that you'd ask, so why not add your voice to the conversation in the comments section?
Don't forget to subscribe. We are GB News, Britain's news channel.
Every night at 11 on GB News, we bring you the next day's stories the day before.
It's basically like time travel.
If it's a big story, we'll cover it, guaranteed. But we'll also have some fun along the way.
Big opinions, big laughs. Sometimes big hair.
This is
Headliners, the paper review show that won't send you to sleep like the others will.
11 p.m, 7 nights a week. Join us.
Hello there, I'm Eamon Holmes.
And I'm Isabel Webster.
And we hope you can join us for
Breakfast with Eamon.
And Isabel.
You make me laugh out loud, belly laugh.
Is that important first thing in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's me trying to be deadly serious. News is a serious business.
Yeah, I have to rein you in sometimes.
Well, it doesn't stop us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on.
Yeah.
And it certainly will not stop us reflecting what you think.
Weekdays from 6 to 9:30 on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
President Biden says Vladimir Putin cannot remain in power, sparking chaos and confusion around the world as the White House is forced to walk back his comments.
Good morning, it's 8 o'clock on Sunday the 27th of March, and happy Mother's Day to all of you mothers out there. This is Breakfast on GB News with Stephen and Ellie.
We are live across the whole of the UK on your TV and on your radio.
Coming up for you this morning. The White House is scrambling back on Joe Biden's comments that Vladimir Putin cannot remain in power, insisting he was not calling for a regime change. But is this one too many gaffes from the American leader? Let us know what you think.
A summer travel boost. Two of Britain's busiest airports are reopening terminals ahead of what's expected to be a pretty busy travel season. We're live at Gatwick for you this morning.
The world's biggest stars are preparing to glam up for tonight's Oscars, and it looks like the Brits could take over Tinseltown. We'll bring you all of the gossip ahead of Hollywood's big night tonight.
And of course, it is Mother's Day. We're celebrating mums throughout the programme, so send us your pictures of you and your mum, or just your mum, as long as it's got your mum in it. That's
the
fine.
important thing.
That's the big thing. GBviews at gbnews.uk, or you can tweet us at GBnews. We'll show them on the telly, and if you're listening on the radio, make sure we've got all the names and all the details so we can give them a shout out. So the White House is scrambling to walk back Joe Biden's comment that Vladimir Putin cannot remain in power, insisting he wasn't calling for regime change.
The American leader made the gaffe yesterday during a speech in Poland. Dismissing the comment, the Kremlin spokesperson said the president of Russia is a choice for the Russian people.
Well, Joe Biden says the war has been a strategic failure for Moscow.
Where the appetites and ambitions of a few forever seek to dominate the lives and liberty of many. My message to the people of Ukraine is a message I delivered today to Ukraine's foreign minister and defense minister, who I believe are here tonight. We stand with you, period.
Well, meanwhile, more than half of Britons think the government should drop visa requirements for Ukrainians who are looking for refuge in the country. It's a new poll by Savanta Comres for The Independent,
which says 54% support a no-visa policy compared to 21% who think the visa requirement should remain in place.
Well, UK-based charities are doing what they can to help support the people of Ukraine. Our next guest is Dan Zenchuk. He's the founder of Walk for Ukraine. Dan, good morning to you and thank you so much for joining us. Explain what you're doing tomorrow.
Yeah, sure. So I'm doing a 152-mile sponsored walk. It's called Walk for Ukraine, as you say. So I'm going to be walking through seven towns and cities over 6 days, which spell out Ukraine. So I'm going from Uppingham to Kettering to Rugby to Ashby-de-la-Zouch to Ilkeston to Newark and finally to Empingham. The route each day varies from 13 miles up to 36 miles. With 36 miles being the last day and the hardest day of the 6. But this is just my personal contribution towards the many aid efforts that are going on around the country for Ukraine at the moment.
I mean, it's a heck of a task, Dan. Why did you want to do this?
So I'm British-born Ukrainian. I was born here in Peterborough in Cambridgeshire. My parents are Ukrainian. I've still got family in Ukraine. I'm also heavily involved with a UK-wide appeal called Support Ukraine UK. We've been sending aid out to Ukraine since kind of the end of January. So originally we were trying to support the soldiers in the east and the families of those killed. And obviously as things escalated, we upped our game as well. So we've sent 13 full lorries so far. We've sent numerous couriers of kind of specialist goods into the country as well. We were given, for instance, a baby incubator by Peterborough Hospital last week that we managed to get into Odessa to a maternity unit there that needed it the most. So there's a big effort going on. But for me, as I say, I wanted to do something personal and this walk is it. It's a big challenge for me. But at the same time, as you can imagine, I'm so motivated for our people. You know, we're raising money and aid for them at a time that they need it the most.
It's an absolutely incredible effort, Dan. And like you say, you've got really personal reasons for doing this. How are your family on the ground? Are they safe? And what's your sense of morale amongst Ukrainians?
Ukrainians are resilient people. You know, a lot of people have seen what's happened in the last month, and it's easy to forget that this has been going on in some parts of the country for 8 years now. We look at Donbass and Crimea. You know, for Ukrainians, this is nothing new. I think we all expected that this would happen at some point, maybe not in the fashion that it has. In terms of my friends and family, a lot of them, as most of the Ukrainians that have ended up here in the UK are from the west of the country. My family all come from towns and villages within a few miles of Lviv, which until a few days ago has been relatively safe. But as we saw yesterday, you know, several targets were bombed in Lviv. So it's worrying times because you just don't know what's going to happen next. I think the way that it's progressed over the last month, it's very difficult to predict what Putin's goals now are. I mean, he's certainly not met the ones that, you know, I think he originally set out to achieve. So, you know, this yesterday, I can't help but think it was targeted as it was close to the border whilst the US president was in Poland. Hopefully that's the last we'll see in Lviv. But yeah, worrying times, as you can imagine.
Look, Dan, we spoke to you a couple of years ago when you first, a couple of weeks ago, I should say, when you first announced you were doing this. How's the training gone?
It's gone really well. It's probably not gone in the conventional style that I've managed to get out and walk every day. I mean, we are spending 5-6 days a week loading lorries full of aid. So I'm getting plenty of physical exercise and practice, but maybe not getting as many walks as I'd have liked. But I also managed on Friday evening, we had a charity football match down in London. It was the England fans group against the Ukraine fans. So I made about a 40-minute cameo in that as well, which I'm still feeling the after effects of, if I'm honest. But I've done plenty of physical training, but not as much walking as I've liked. But I previously did quite a bit of long distance running. So mentally, I think I'm prepared for what's to come in the next few days. But I think at the minute, pure motivation and remembering, you know, what I'm doing this for is going to help me to get through.
Oh, you'll be well prepared, Dan. And if people are watching at home and they really want to donate to you, how can they do that?
Sure. So the easiest way on Facebook, there is a page called Walk for Ukraine. Within the Facebook page, there is a Just Giving link. We've raised around £7,500 so far. which is it by far exceeds what I could ever have dreamt of. If we can get that to 5 figures by the end of the walk, I'd be, absolutely delighted. And every penny of that is obviously going to go to provide further support for Ukraine and for our friends and family.
No, look, the best of luck. It's a great challenge. You'll nail it. You'll nail it. Dan, thanks very much indeed. Good to talk to you this morning.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Fantastic effort.
I mean, it is. To finish on 36 miles, though, on the last day...
I couldn't do it.
That's
amazing.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one. Good luck to him. Now, a group of 52 children from orphanages in Dnipro in Ukraine have arrived at temporary new homes in Scotland.
Yes, they'll stay in the Callander area near Stirling before moving to Edinburgh in small family-style groups.
Well, let's get the latest from our Scotland reporter, Davy Donaldson, who's in Callander for us this morning. Davy.
Yeah, here in Callander, this is not far away from where the orphans have come to and are currently staying at the moment. Wednesday was when they travelled over from Poland. They've travelled from Warsaw on a plane to Heathrow. They came off there, obviously welcomed there, and then came to Scotland later that evening. This is part of Save a Child have been involved heavily with this. The Hibernian Football Club, Dnipro Trust, they've been involved with it as well. So lots of people trying to make sure that they get these children out of the country and try to get them a better life. One of those involved was Daniel Berger.
It was as bizarre as, hello mate, how are you? I'm in the Ukraine with a group of orphans at the moment, trying to get them to Poland. Shai Weiss at Virgin Atlantic. Do you think you could get him to get us a plane? I thought that was ridiculous. Virgin aren't going to send a plane to Warsaw, and they don't fly there. And, well, you know the rest of the story. 13 days later, we landed back in Heathrow with the children and their carers. So it's been crazy, but we did it. We did it. When you're so close to it and in it and speaking to all the parties from the Ukrainian government, the Polish government, British government, all of the charities involved, it's sort of, I'm so in the moment that I'm not really realizing actually, I know the end game, but we're not there. And we had this sort of, aren't we going on Monday situation. And so when Wednesday came and we were actually, firstly, wheels up in Warsaw with the kids, then there was that euphoria that we're on our way and the kids' first experience on a plane. But when we landed at Heathrow, the doors opened and we're all waving goodbye at the top of the steps. There's that dawn of realization that they're going off to start this next chapter of their lives. And we're all just crying. Everyone's crying and hugging each other because we've done it. And every single person on that plane played their part in making this happen. I was saying the other day to my colleagues that this is the best demonstration of British society coming together and working for common good. And I think if this group has highlighted anything to the nation, it's what can be achieved. And, hats off to everybody involved, from Ian Blackford to Lord Harrington to all the governments and to everyone. When you come together and you work together, so much can be achieved. I just hope that more come and it isn't as painful a process as it's been this time round.
Yeah, a real incredible effort there by all the parties involved to get those children to Scotland. And, I'm hearing that they've been playing football, they've been settling in nicely, along with the carers, 5 carers there. The children aged between 2 and 18, as we heard there. Some of them never even been on a plane before. So a completely new experience for them, a new way of life, But Scotland has welcomed them with open arms, as they will all the people from Ukraine. You've got Ukrainian flags here over my shoulder in the square here in Callander. You might be able to make out. It's quite misty here, but Scotland really has embraced the Ukrainian people and welcomed them here with open arms. And as we heard there as well from Daniel, that it could lead to more people coming over here, more people coming to Scotland and being welcomed in a similar way.
Oh, Davey, it really is a wonderful story. Thank you so much for bringing it to us this morning. And I hope you get to do an update as well and let us know how those 52 children from orphanages are settling in Scotland. It does look beautiful there in Callander. What a welcome for them with all those flags in the background. It's lovely, isn't it?
It's a lovely part of the world, this Callander in Stirling. Now, it is 12 minutes past 8. 8.
Time flies.
Well,
not 7.
No, not 7. If you're waking up and thinking, what's going on here? British summertime changed overnight, which meant an hour less sleep for us. Just
Wasn't
pointing
good,
that
wasn't
out. Keep smiling, though. Keep smiling. But the start of British summertime also marks the start of the official summer season for airlines in the UK and beyond.
Yeah, for two of Britain's busiest airports, Gatwick and Manchester, it also marks the reopening of terminals that were closed because of the pandemic.
But with many travel restrictions still in force around Europe and the rest of the world, and concern about what's happening in Ukraine, can the aviation industry and international travellers look forward to the first bright summer for 3 years, believe it or not?
And there are also developments on the P&O ferry saga as well, following the mass redundancy 10 days ago of 800 seafarers. Lots and lots to talk about. So let's catch up with Simon Calder. He's our travel man. He's the travel correspondent for The Independent as well. He's at the newly reopened South Terminal at Gatwick. Simon, good morning to you. Oh, it's looking quite busy behind you. What's happening at Gatwick this morning?
Well, you're absolutely right. After nearly 2 years of closure, South Terminal, which is the one with the railway station and actually the bigger of the two terminals, has reopened today. It closed down shortly after the start of the coronavirus pandemic, when Gatwick suddenly went from being the busiest single runway airport in the world and in the European top 10 to pretty much nowhere, with flights collapsing by 97%. However, as you say, the summer season begins today, not just in terms of BST, but also for the airlines. And we are seeing this terminal being taken out of the mothballed state. They've spent several weeks making sure that things are going to work properly. And anybody who comes here, well, it's looking fairly familiar, but with some significant changes. So last time you were here, EasyJet behind me certainly weren't here. They put all their operations in the North Terminal, but actually that's not it's most definitely changing with the fact that they've got so many flights that they cannot operate all of EasyJet's flights from the North Terminal. So they've set up a little operation here. If you are travelling on EasyJet, which is by far the biggest airline at Gatwick, then you're going to have to check before you go which terminal you are flying from. We're also going to see on Tuesday British Airways coming back with their short-haul operation to Gatwick. That's going to be quite an interesting time as well, because BA effectively 2 years ago just said, right, no more short-haul flights from Gatwick. They've now set up a lower-cost subsidiary called BA Euroflyer. And the idea is you get the same standards as normal BA, but it's done on a cheaper cost basis, and they're hoping that they will be able to properly compete with EasyJet, which has always been BA's problem here. We're also getting, and just across from me, Wizz Air, very busy Hungarian-based airline, is setting up. They had the first flight out to Malaga at 6:30 this morning, and they're going to launch a base here with 5 aircraft, competing very much on those summer sun routes to Spain, to Portugal, to Greece. So quite lively times, and talking to passengers, they're delighted, of course, to be travelling, and the staff are absolutely overjoyed, really quite emotional.
Oh, well, I bet. I can imagine it. I mean, it's a significant move at Gatwick, but it's not just Gatwick, is it, Simon, that's having a reopening today?
No, Manchester Airport. Now, anybody who's been flying in and out of Manchester over the past few weeks quite possibly has been caught up in some snarl-ups with the very long security queues. We've had, for example, delays of 2 to 3 hours getting through airport security there. Some people missing planes, other flights delayed as a result of passengers being stuck in the queue. Now, from today, things might get easier. Terminal 3 at Manchester is opening for airlines such as British Airways and Ryanair. Crucially, though, you're still going to be using Terminal 1 security, and you go through there and then you're directed to Terminal 3. But it's all very much part of a picture, Stephen, of the world coming back to life in terms of aviation. I was just speaking to the boss of Gatwick. He is very, very enthusiastic about how the summer is looking. It's not going to be anything as strong as we saw in 2019, which was by far the busiest summer ever, but it is, he thinks, going to be looking good. One very sad note, though. Of course, you've been covering what's happening in Ukraine. Can you believe that today was going to be the first day that the UK was linked direct with the beautiful Ukrainian city of Odessa? Both Ryanair from Stansted, Wizz Air from Luton were going to be flying there. I've actually got a ticket for the Ryanair flight due to go out at 3:15 this afternoon. Of course, it's not flying anywhere because all flights in and out of Ukraine are for the time being cancelled. But of course, we hope that that will be back in the schedules soon.
Oh, we really do hope so, Simon. And as we were just saying in the headlines, 10 days ago, 800 seafarers were sacked over Zoom. What is the latest on P&O ferries?
Well, again, yes, exactly. 10 days ago, we were all waking up to this sudden news, and of course, desperately upsetting for those seafarers. Since then, there's been a real backlash against P&O ferries. So where are we today? Dover-Calais, nothing sailing at all on P&O ferries. They are directing people to sail on DFDS instead. Between Liverpool and Dublin, there are ferries operating. Also, a limited service between Hull and Rotterdam. On the Northern Ireland link, though, this is from Cairnryan in southwest Scotland across to Larne in Northern Ireland. Well, yesterday we heard that the Maritime and Coast Guard Agency had detained one of the ships at European Causeway, saying that they weren't happy with the safety procedures on board. No news on that, but I can tell you that P&O Ferries is planning to start up from Tuesday morning on that route using their other ship, the European Highlander. Meanwhile, of course, people trying to get by sea from Northern Ireland to Scotland facing pretty tough time because while Stena Line is still going from Belfast to Cairnryan, they've got limited capacity.
Oh, well, that's a saga. It's going to rumble on for quite some time yet, I should imagine. Simon, really good to talk to you this morning. I hope you're not too tempted to jump on a plane while you're there.
There's one out to Barbados in about an hour from now. I'd love to, but sadly not. I'll stay here on duty.
Hold it for me, Simon. Hold it for me. Thanks very much indeed. Oh, that'd be nice.
That'd be good, wouldn't it? Barbados on a Sunday.
Oh, smashing.
Lucky people.
It's not just any old Sunday, of course. It's Mothering Sunday. So what are you doing for your mum today? Are you going to make a dinner? Breakfast in bed? There's still time for that. Or you can maybe buy flowers, chocolate, bottle of wine. Never goes amiss, I find.
I think. Can't go wrong. Yeah, just a little bit of everything for mums today. Now, of course, all of these items do need to be purchased. So how have businesses fared, given that we, the public, have less money in our pockets due to the rise in the cost of living?
It's been fairly steady for cakes. People always like to treat themselves to cake, and that's Mother's Day is definitely our busiest day of the year, and it always has been since day one when we opened in 2010. So, and I think you always really associate cake with your mum. So it's just one of these things that it'll never stop. I don't think, no matter what state the country's in, really.
It's hard to tell because obviously with Brexit and COVID and things, it's been a bit all over the place, but I feel like it's getting back to normal, and this year it feels a lot better. It feels like pre-COVID times, which is good. So this year I feel has been one of the best compared to during COVID. But the problem is my cost to my flowers have went up. So say like if it's usually 20, that 20 is now what we call 30. So even though they are spending that wee bit more, thankfully I think we're having to push them to do that. They're not necessarily getting more flowers for that, which is a bit disappointing, but it's how life's going on at the moment. We just have to go with the flow the best we can.
You do have to go with the flow. They are expensive for fresh
They are
flowers.
expensive.
But
people just picking them out their gardens this year, maybe. They are expensive.
It's a lovely thing to get, though, a bunch of flowers.
No,
I think.
it really is.
I do think it's nice. Look, I've got to say Happy Mother's Day to my mum, she's in Spain at the moment. She'll be getting ready to go to church, I should imagine, because they're an hour ahead. There you go, Mum, my mummy. I don't call her mummy. Why did I say that? My mum. I never call her mummy. That's ridiculous.
I love that photo of her. Such a nice photo. It's quite artsy, isn't it?
It is quite artsy. Well, do you know the faff I had to get a picture that she liked?
That's a great photo, that.
Because it's like most mums, she doesn't like herself in pictures. And she always looks lovely, but she doesn't
she's a lovely mummy to you, isn't she?
My mother. Morning, Mother. She is wonderful. Couldn't wish for a better mum.
Oh, she's great. And a happy Mother's Day to my mum as well. She's called Joan. I think we've got a photo of her as well. We can share that with you in just a minute. This is Joan. There we are together. That was actually my birthday. She took me out for a nice meal. And she's the best mummy in the world.
She looks younger than you.
Yeah, good genes, right? I hope I age as well as that. No,
right.
she's wonderful. She's very hands-on mummy. She's always there when anyone needs her. She's always putting others before herself. She is the best. I'm very, very lucky. So happy Mother's Day to you, Mum. She's not very well. She's got COVID today, and she's actually in bed with it as well. So I was going to go see her today, but she's told me to stay away, and we will celebrate another time. But hope you feel better, Mum, and happy Mother's Day. Love you lots.
Well, our GB News family here are all celebrating their mums. This is our producer, Lowry, with her mum, Claire, taken on Christmas Day in 2020 in South Wales. Happy Mother's Day, Claire.
GB News is the UK's home of discussion and debate
from all perspectives.
To stay up to date on the latest stories,
make sure that you subscribe to the GB News channel
right here on YouTube.
You can watch us live 24/7 across the whole world.
You can also check out exclusive content and catch up on previous episodes of your favourite shows.
Every day, we ask the questions
that you'd ask, so why not add your voice to the conversation in the comments section?
Don't forget to subscribe. We are GB News, Britain's news channel.
Every night at 11 on GB News, we bring you the next day's stories the day before.
Basically like time travel.
If it's a big story, we'll cover it, guaranteed. But we'll also have some fun along the way.
Big opinions, big laughs. Sometimes big hair.
This is
Headliners, the paper review show that won't send you to sleep like the others will.
11 p.m, 7 nights a week. Join us.
Hello there, I'm Eamon Holmes.
And I'm Isabel Webster.
And we hope you can join us for
Breakfast with Eamon
and Isabel.
You make me laugh out loud, belly laugh.
Is that important first thing in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's me trying to be deadly serious. News is a serious business.
Yeah, I have to rein you in sometimes.
Well, it doesn't stop us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on.
Yeah.
And it certainly will not stop us reflecting what you think.
Weekdays from 6 to 9:30 on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton Tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
It's 26 minutes past 8, not 7, and you're watching Breakfast with Stephen and Anne. But it's not Anne today,
it's not
me.
Anne. It's not Anne. Actually, I tell you what, we are going to
Ellie, look, there it is.
We are going to speak to Anne a little bit later, hopefully about sort of 10 to 10 this morning. And she's on a boat in the middle of the Atlantic. So we're
She's on her holidays.
They've changed it in the auto cue now to say Ellie. It's a bit late now.
A bit late now, guys.
Come on.
No, but that will be fun. We're going to catch up with Anne. We're going to crash on her holiday, and we're going to ask her how it's going and what she thinks of her replacement.
I sort of think, oh, rubbish. Rubbish, you'll say. Rubbish.
No, don't say that. Hopefully she approves. Hopefully she thinks I've done a good job sitting
I don't know
for her.
what the time zone is in the middle of the Atlantic. It's the middle of the night.
It's going to be like 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, it'll be cocktail time for Anne Diamond, I should think.
I'm sure she's having a great time. Is she on a cruise ship, do you say?
On a cruise ship, yeah.
Oh, it's all right for some, isn't it?
She's put this off for because of the pandemic. It's been put off for a couple of years. So she was like, I am going away in March. That is it. I'm not going for anyone. So she's been
there you go.
Desperate.
Well, I hope she's had a lovely holiday. Very well deserved.
Now, it is Mother's Day, and throughout the year, a woman's role in a family has somewhat evolved.
Yeah, to help us sift through some of these changes, we are now joined by behavioural psychologist Jo Hemmings. Jo, good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. How has a mother's role changed throughout the years?
Morning, both. I suppose quite significantly. I mean, the core of a mother, the nurturing, the protective side, that doesn't change because it's sort of hardwired into most mums to be like that. But they're much more independent. They're very much more likely to go to work, have their children at a later stage. They tend to sort of think for themselves. They can have their own political views. They don't have to follow on from their partners. They're a greater contributor to household income than they were before. But interestingly, I looked at a survey recently, and it did say that in spite of that the greater number of mothers, of course, now working, they actually spent more time with their children than they did, say, a generation ago, which seems a bit counterintuitive, but actually it's because they now have, all sorts of devices, if you like, to help keep your house clean. They're not out there scrubbing brass doorsteps with a brush or whatever. We now are able to sort of clean more easily than we did back then. And also partners, husbands, they're much more likely to be involved as well in household chores and childcare and so on. So I think still they've got that very traditional nurturing role, but they're much more independent and have lives for themselves as individuals rather than just being somebody's mum.
Yeah, you see, I don't know what to make of it, and it's not a very PC thing to say in today's world. I mean, I'm not against working mums, obviously. That would be crackers. But, I mean, I heard something on the radio when I was driving home from the show yesterday, actually, and on the radio, and they had interviews with children about their working, what they thought of their mums who were all working mums. And every single one of those children said, "Oh, I wish mum was at home more."
Aww.
Every one.
I mean, it's difficult because, of course, most children want to see their mums all the time. They want them to be the primary caregiver rather than perhaps being out with a childminder. And it's difficult when they're very little, but as they get older and you then encourage your daughters to have a career, to do well at school, to have the potential to achieve, I think it probably gets into perspective more for them when they're a little bit older, that's why mum works. Firstly, we have to get the money in so that we can survive, particularly in this day and age. And secondly, they like the feeling of going to work. It doesn't mean they love their children any less. But it's important for women to be independent. But I know what you're saying. Every child, I used to feel, I was very lucky. I think I worked part-time when my two were little. So I made every moment of the 2 days that I wasn't working. I think that would be harder now because there wasn't so much email around or such pressure to be working in some way, even if you weren't actually working. But I just stopped work for 2 days each week, and they were very important to me.
Oh, and Jo, you've got some lovely flowers in the background. Are those from your children?
Sadly not.
Oh.
They're from me to me.
Oh, good for you.
No,
they'll be coming, Jo, I'm sure. They'll be coming.
They came yesterday. One came the sort of letterbox flowers. So I'm trying to stop them looking so squished. And they're in a different vase. But my older son's going to see his future mother-in-law today. And my youngest is taking me out for lunch. So, so I get to
spend a very happy Mother's Day to you, Jo. And one thing I think that has changed in terms of this role of a mother is kids are at home for a lot longer now, aren't they? I mean, back in the olden days, you'd be out the house at 16, 18, you'd be buying your own house. I mean, now it's so expensive to buy a home. Some parents have got their very grown-up kids still living at home, haven't they? You're a hands-on parent for a lot longer.
Right. It's a good point. They are mums in terms of having their children in their homes for much, much longer. And actually, I think some poor mums who may be looking after their own elderly mothers or parents, as well as having these older children at home who can't leave, as you say, because they can't afford to go anywhere, means that you extend that motherhood role. And also perhaps, I think it's harder for some boys, but girls as well, to be as independent as they should be at a certain age. Because when you're living at home, I don't know if all mums are like me, but when mine were living with me until they're a bit older, I'm still fussing over them. I'm still treating them like they're younger than they are. And of course, they needed to have flown the nest, but just weren't able to.
Things about when you do go home. You get fussed over. I love it. Jo, thank you. Again, I know we're catching up with you a little bit later on as well, but for now, Thanks very much indeed. It's funny what things were like in the olden days, Ellie. You wouldn't believe. We didn't have mobile phones and nothing.
Sorry, Steve.
No internet, no nothing.
Oh dear. Well, the reason why I said that is because I do feel very sorry for my mum, because she's got 3 kids in their 20s, and up until very, very recently, we were all at home. And I did feel sorry for her, because she probably wanted us all out at 18, but couldn't afford it. Houses too expensive.
Yeah,
so
that is the problem.
It's a tough job for the mums out there. But happy Mother's Day to all of you mums at home. Hope you're having a lovely day. Hope you're being spoilt rotten.
Yeah.
We're celebrating it all throughout the programme, so do send in your pictures of your mummies and some lovely messages as well. We're going to get through as many as we can on the programme. gbnews@gbnews.uk.
We are celebrating our GB News family mums as well today, which our producer is from Puerto Rico. And apparently lived in America for a long time, and this is apparently something they do, like on local TV in America, on Mother's Day. They go into every breaks with people, mothers of people on the team. And we were like, I've never heard of that. It's not a thing over here. So we thought we'd do it. And I
didn't realise that's why we were doing it, but I love that.
It's a really nice thing, isn't it? So this is our sports producer, Zach, and his mum. Oh, Zach, look at you, all getting your degree.
Julie is stunning. Look at
his
Julie.
Mum, Julie. Yeah, wow.
Oh, she's a glamazon.
Zach can't be with her today because he's working hard here, and she's up in the northwest, but he sends his love to her and his nan, Pam.
Oh, happy Mother's Day to the two of them.
I bet she loves that picture as well. And we'll go into this little break for you with our producer Robin's mum in 1998, 2017 and 2019. So this is 1998. So look at 2017. Oh, there we go. And 2019. There we go. Lovely. She's in Hefei in China. Happy Mother's Day to you.
GB News is the UK's home of discussion and debate.
From all perspectives.
To stay up to date on the latest stories,
make sure that you subscribe to the GB News channel
right here on YouTube.
You can watch us live 24/7 across the whole world.
You can also check out exclusive content and catch up on previous episodes of your favourite shows.
Every day, we ask the questions
that you'd ask, so why not add your voice to the conversation in the comments section?
Don't forget to subscribe. We are GB News, Britain's news channel.
Every night at 11 on GB News, we bring you the next day's stories the day before.
It's basically like time travel.
If it's a big story, we'll cover it, guaranteed. But we'll also have some fun along the way.
Big opinions, big laughs. Sometimes big hair.
This is
Headliners, the paper review show that won't send you to sleep like the others will.
11 p.m, 7 nights a week. Join us.
Hello there, I'm Eamon Holmes.
And I'm Isabel Webster.
And we hope you can join us for
Breakfast with Eamon
and Isabel.
You make me laugh out loud, belly laugh.
Is that important first thing in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's me trying to be deadly serious. News is a serious business.
Yeah, I have to rein you in sometimes.
Well, it doesn't stop us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on.
Yeah.
And it certainly will not stop us reflecting what you think.
Weekdays from 6 to 9:30 on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
It is 8:37. Good morning. She looks all sweetness and light now, but she's not in the break. Oh, Diva.
I'm just laughing because I've got the right names this time.
You got the right names this time. Always helps. This is Breakfast with Stephen and Ellie, live across the UK on your TV and on your radio.
Not here. Well, we're going through the papers in just a minute, but first, let's bring you up to date.
The White House has been swift to deny that the US president was calling for regime change in Moscow. Joe Biden had said Vladimir Putin cannot remain in power and branded him a butcher. The Kremlin responded, saying the people of Russia, not America, should choose its leader.
The UK's Ministry of Defence say Russia is concentrating efforts on encircling Ukrainian forces in separatist regions in the east of the country. Russian forces are advancing from the direction of Kharkiv in the north and Mariupol in the south. In their latest update, the ministry say Ukrainian counterattacks are hampering Russian attempts to reorganize their forces.
Former US President Donald Trump says he's shocked by Vladimir Putin's heinous attack. He made the comments at a rally in the US state of Georgia and reiterated his belief that Russia would never have invaded Ukraine if he was in charge.
Putin's heinous attack on a proud and sovereign nation shocks the conscience of every person of goodwill, shocks the conscience of the people of Georgia, I can tell you.
More than half of Britons think the government should drop visa requirements for Ukrainians seeking refuge in the country. A new poll by Savanta Comres for The Independent reveals 54% support a no-visa policy, compared to 21% who think the visa requirement should remain in place.
A second black box from the China Eastern Airlines plane that crashed last Monday has been recovered. Rescuers say it was found underground, about 40 metres from where the Boeing 737 crashed in the Guangxi region of southern China. There were 132 people on board, no survivors. The box will now be sent to Beijing to be analysed with the other black box recorder that was found last week.
OK, it's time to go through the papers now. Joining us this morning is broadcaster Aggie McKenzie and Partnerships Manager at the Academy of Ideas, Jacob Reynolds. And Jacob, I did want to start with you because we were wishing Aggie a happy Mother's Day in the last segment, but it's a very special Mother's Day for you and your family, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously every Mother's Day is special, but just want to say big happy Mother's Day to my mum, Jane, not least because things are a bit interesting in our house at the moment because we've got another mum over because my wife's mum we've managed to get her and some of her family out of Ukraine.
Incredible.
And so a huge happy Mother's Day to my mum, Jane, and also to Irina, my mother-in-law.
I mean, what are you hearing from your mother-in-law then about actually what the situation was like in Ukraine?
Well, I mean, much of the reports cover how challenging and difficult it is and the kind of scale of destruction and also like the conduct of Russian forces in Ukraine, the reports of looting and those kind of things seem pretty accurate from what I can see. The main take-home point is this is a hugely proud and resilient country, and the kind of stories of huge courage and sacrifice and heroism, those really seem to stack up.
And how did you get them out safely?
Well, so we went to Poland and we then waited for them. They got a bus out of Ukraine. We then applied for visas with them while we were in Poland, and thankfully they were granted relatively speedily, not without all of the bureaucratic hurdles that people have kind of criticised the government for. We're very glad that they were granted, but nonetheless, I mean, that story that you were just reporting on people thinking that there should be no visas and that the process should be much easier, that, I mean, definitely would echo that.
Yeah, that'd get your vote. Well, look, it's good to hear that. So happy mother-in-law happy Mother's Day to your mother-in-law and your mum, of course. Aggie, can we have a look at the Observer this morning, looking at children's care providers?
Yes, this story about the 10 largest providers of children's social care replacements made more than £300 million profit last year, which to me seems completely wrong. It's just wrong that providers are making excessive profit where the money should be spent on the children. It's all out of kilter. And the fact is that...
They're businesses, though, aren't they?
They're businesses. This is the problem. Local authorities struggle to cope with this sort of thing, and so they outsource it, but then they don't seem to have any control over these companies, and to be making this amount of profit, up 14% from last year, it's just wrong.
I suppose that the argument is in our type of economy, in a market economy, if companies aren't making a healthy profit, they're not going to run the business.
Yeah, there's a difference between a healthy profit and an excessive profit, and I think this figure of £300 million shared between the 10 largest providers is just out of proportion.
OK, yeah, good to get your thoughts on that, if you've got any views on that. The Sunday Telegraph, Jacob, looking at Ukraine and Ukrainian civilians in particular.
Yeah, well, obviously this is a story I've been following very closely, as lots of us have. I mean, the story in the Sunday Telegraph really goes into detail about the shape that the war is taking now. Obviously, kind of Russia perhaps catastrophically failed in their kind of initial war aims of changing the government and decapitating the country pretty quickly. So this is now going to move into a different phase. And I think Ukraine and the Ukrainian military has a big choice to make, because what's going to happen is that, as Russia has said, it's going to refocus efforts on the Donbass region, and the Ukrainian military will need to kind of adjust accordingly. But what this does mean, I think, is that sadly we're heading to a kind of more destructive, bloody kind of stalemate phase of the war. And I think that us in the West need to think really carefully and considered about what can we do to bring this war to a close.
What do you think? I mean, from your professional perspective, what do you think could be done? Because it does feel like our hands are somewhat tied.
Well, I mean, firstly, I mean, those comments we were talking about earlier about what Biden had to say, kind of calling for a regime change in Russia, is not going to help the situation. I'm personally in favour of support that can be given to support the Ukrainian military in various ways, but we ultimately need to, the war has to come to an end at some point. Russia needs to be given a way out of this without losing face too much, and Ukraine needs the support it needs to defend its sovereign territory.
Absolutely, Aggie. We haven't got very long left, but this is a remarkable headline. I think we have to do this one. Serial killer Dennis Nilsen's curry pans have gone on sale for £300. Tell us a bit more about this.
I know. This is really ghoulish, actually. So Dennis Nilsen is, we know, the mass murderer who had been a chef in his life before he was jailed for killing and cutting up his victims, and he ended up cooking body parts before flushing them down the loo. It wasn't until the sewers got blocked, then they were unblocked, that his crimes were discovered. And now saucepans that he was using in the prison kitchen, because he was making curries with somebody else, these saucepans are being sold on a dark crime website, and I just find the whole thing repulsive. It's for somebody to be profiting out of Dennis Nilsen's old saucepans is just grim, and I can't imagine who would actually want to buy them apart from somebody who's slightly wrong in the head.
There'll be some ghoulish. It's the fact that if this was in the prison kitchen and they haven't been washed.
That's right. Apparently they still have. There's got
curry on
stains
them.
on. Yes. So bit of a curry on, did you say?
Well, no. But someone's nicked them then, haven't they? So someone there said, "Oh, he's cooked with that. I'm going to swipe that."
Quite possibly. Yeah. Apparently they're on sale for £300 each.
Yeah.
Yes, and there's this kind of sinister connection between, what he did in the past and then, not nice.
People love all of that, though, don't they? There are a lot of ghoulish people out there. Look, we're out of time. Aggie, Jacob, thank you both very much indeed.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Now, the school week will need to be at least 32 and a half hours long for everyone under the government's schools white paper. It's online how most schools should operate from 8:45 to 3:15 Monday to Friday.
But after 2 years of disrupted learning, should there be more support available to students? Well, with us now is Chris McGovern, chairman for the Campaign for Real Education. Good morning to you, Chris. Stephen and I have been discussing this this morning. How is this not the case already? That sounds like a pretty standard school day, but it's obviously not the case everywhere.
No, about a quarter of schools don't actually have the 32 and a half hours. But what the government are proposing is adding 10 or 20 minutes perhaps to the school day. Look, we have a real problem of underperformance in our education system. We need a solution, and this proposal is not going to solve the problem, but it's probably a small move in the right direction.
So what does need to happen then?
Well, first of all, we need to improve the way we teach children. This country is about 3 years behind the best education systems in the world. And that's pretty serious. And about a third of our youngsters leave primary school, and they are not even reaching the basic standard in literacy and numeracy. And many of those children go on into secondary school, and they leave school, and they don't reach the basic standards. And I know this personally because I work with underprivileged families and do what I can to help. And I took over a failing school, so I'm quite familiar with what goes on. And what I found is a lot of parents, they themselves are illiterate and innumerate. They can't help their own children because they've been through our education system. Our education system is a basket case, but we're not really facing up to that. So sorting out the school day, it may help, but actually, if you really wanted to help, you do what some of the private schools do. That is carry on till 6:30. I've taught in both state schools and private schools. And when I taught in the private schools, they started at 8:30 and they were still open at 6:30 when kids did their homework on the school premises. So they had a very long day. That might make a difference, but we've got a real problem. So I hope tomorrow, when the government are going to announce further plans for the reform of education, there's going to be a bit more in that what's called a white paper than just adding 20 minutes to the school day for some schools, because most schools actually already do the 32.5 hours. So we've got a long way to go, I'm afraid, but thank goodness it's being highlighted this morning and elsewhere.
And these 10 to 20 minutes that you're talking about that the school day would be extended by, how does that benefit children? Does it make much of a difference?
Well, it's I think over a year or so, it could work out about 2 weeks. And yes, it can make a difference at the margins. But the problem is, I think, and look, I'm not normally someone who supports the teacher union stance on this, even though I was a union member myself. But the unions have said, look, in some rural situations, there's problems with transport and so forth. So there does need to be a little bit of flexibility in terms of the school day. But this, I don't want to repeat the old cliche, but I'll have to. It is really rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. We have a big problem in education in this country. We are letting down a lot of young people, and we've got to prepare for the future. We're not going to do it by fiddling around with the school day for a small number of schools. We've got a giant Everest to climb. And so, as I say, I'm hoping we're going to have a little bit more. And if we can do anything to help children, it's the way we teach them. It's the method of teaching. If you go across to China or to Japan or to Singapore, Vietnam, which does very well, you'll find that the way the classroom is organised is very different from over in the UK. Going to any primary school in England, Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland, you'll see the children sat around tables in groups, half of them with their back to the teacher. Go to Shanghai and you'll see 50 children facing the front with the teacher at the front of the classroom. And that means you get a different style of teaching. You've got to look at the way we teach children. I get accused of being hankering after some old golden age of the 1950s. But when I go to Singapore, they don't think that. They think my ideas are cutting edge. The fact is, we're the only country in the developed world where grandparents outperform their grandchildren in basic skills. And that really is a problem for us.
OK. Chris McGovern, Chairman for the Campaign for Real Education. Appreciate your thoughts today. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm sure lots of you have thoughts on that at home as well. So do get in touch with us, gbviews@gbnews.uk.
I don't know what to make of what he said.
I don't know if we should be looking to China for tips on how to educate our children. I don't think they've got much of a work-life balance.
No, it's
very
strict.
hard.
But maybe we do need to be a bit stricter and a bit more firm. I don't know.
Yeah, let us know what you think. I think there's definitely a conversation to be had there.
Anyway, look, let's put that to one side and get our glad rags on, because Ellie Phillips is here to talk about the Oscars.
Yeah, it's all happening tonight. I mean, I've got to say for UK viewers, it's a bit difficult because the red carpet will start at 11:30.
We've got to stay up for it.
Yeah, and the live broadcast starts at 1 a.m. early hours on Monday morning, and it finishes about 4 a.m. So
you're going to watch it?
I am going to watch it. Yeah, I do. I'm going to stay up, watch it, bring all the news, and it's going to be a really interesting one this year as well. I think in the context of it being with what's happening with Ukraine. I think there will be a nod to it. The Oscars producers themselves have actually said that they are going to, bring it up. The producer, Will Packer, who puts on the Oscars, has said that the tribute to Ukraine is a work in progress. They want to do something that's thoughtful, respectful, and an acknowledgement of where we're at in the world at the moment. So they are going to bring it up. What's interesting is that a two-time Oscar winner, Sean Penn, he's actually said that he wants to boycott the Oscars if they don't allow President Vladimir Zelensky to appear during the show. Yeah, so he said this on CNN, and he said that he will schmelt his two awards if Vladimir isn't given the chance to speak on this. And he won 2 Academy Awards, Mystic River and Milk, Best Actor Awards. And he's basically, I think the thing with Sean Penn is, with a lot of actors and actresses, when it comes to the Oscars and making statements about what's going on in the world with politics, it can seem a bit tokenistic. But Sean Penn was actually in Ukraine making a documentary about the Russian invasion at the very beginning of this, when it started about a month ago. So he is really heavily involved in what's going on, and he's obviously seen firsthand, you know, what's going on, wants to use this platform of the Oscars to kind of draw attention to it. So it's interesting he said he'll boycott it, though. But the idea of having Zelensky speak was actually put up by Amy Schumer, who's one of the co-hosts. She's actually said, I think it'd be really good. So we're not sure what's going to happen with that one. Something else that's happened with, that's been a change up to the schedule, happened recently. Rachel Zegler, who is an actress in West Side Story. She plays Maria in it. She recently won the Golden Globe for Best Actress. She isn't up for an award at the Oscars, but West Side Story is up for 7, and she wasn't invited. Yeah, she wasn't invited. She plays one of the lead roles in this, and everyone was like, what? She put on Instagram, yeah, I wasn't invited, so I'm going to be at home in my sweatpants chilling with my boyfriend. People were in uproar. What is going on? So the Oscars have now invited her to present an award on the night, so she is going to be there, which is great.
They've made it up to her.
Yes, they've made it up. They very quickly corrected that oops. So yeah, so she'll be there on the
It's
night.
a big slap in the face, though, isn't it?
I know.
But they always get things wrong, these people. They should have more sense.
They should, but at least they've corrected it. And I'm not going to lie, she's in phenomenal company when it comes to presenters. I can't list them all because there are just too many, but ones I'm excited about in particular, Jason Momoa, because it's Jason Momoa. Who doesn't want to see him on stage? He's phenomenal. Woody Harrelson, Lady Gaga, Jamie Lee Curtis, the Williams sisters, Serena and Venus. P. Diddy is going to be presenting an award. Samuel L. Jackson, Kevin Costner, Anthony Hopkins. So it's going to be just A-listers, you know, back to back. You know, I think it's going to be phenomenal. I can't wait.
Loads to look forward to. Very quickly, Ellie, what's your prediction? Who do you think is going to be the
big
front runner?
Will Smith, 100% winning Best Actor. I think Best Actress will go to Jessica Chastain. And I think that Power of the Dog might win Best Film, but I want it to go to Coda.
Right.
That's my choice.
We shall see.
Put you on the spot there, Ellie.
I'm going to ring you up at 1 o'clock in the morning. If
No,
you're
you're not. No, you're not.
I might do. Thank you very much. We'll catch up with you a little bit later. Now, it is Mother's Day, and so we're going through our GB News family mothers. And they're Bethany Elsie. You know, I've worked with Bethany for a long time.
Have you?
We worked elsewhere.
Oh, she is lovely.
Together. She is, but, you know, she's written us an essay.
Oh,
So here she is. Happy Mother's Day to my mum, Linda, who's one to myself, Jesper, Elliot, and the dogs, Bear and Spencer. You are an incredibly generous and honest mother, and your work as a nurse makes me so proud. Sorry I can't be with you in Whitburn in the northeast, but I'll see you soon. And happy Mothering Sunday to Nana Dorothy, and happy birthday for tomorrow.
Oh, happy Mother's Day to all of the mothers out there. Hope you're having a lovely day.
She's right glamorous, our Bethany.
She is, she is. I think she's on a little bit later today,
She's on.
isn't she?
She'll be on at 10 o'clock.
So you feel like you've met the whole family.
Oh,
That's what we're trying to achieve, aren't we?
She is lovely. She is lovely. But you know, there's some lovely people who work here, including Nikki Butcher. I love Nikki Butcher. She's one of the best. Butler. I called her Butcher. Butler. Because I'm thinking about food. Sorry, Nikki. This is with her mum, Susan, from Wolverhampton, taken on a beach in Bournemouth.
That's a lovely sunny selfie.
That's a lovely shot, and your Nikki is she's one of the really lovely people that I enjoy working with.
She is wonderful, isn't she? And do send us in your pictures of your mums. We're going to try and get through as many as we can, and do send us a lovely message to read out to them as well. GBnews at gbnews.uk. And if you're on the radio, make sure you send us that message, and we'll give them a shout out. Stay with us. We'll have more after this.
Let's have a look at the weather for you, and it's dry with plenty of sunshine in many areas, although cloudier across some central and eastern parts. In the detail then, apart from a little patchy low cloud near the English Channel coast, the southwest of England can expect wall-to-wall sunshine, temperatures in the high teens. Meanwhile, more in the way of cloud affecting the southeast, and as a result, a cooler day here than of late. Easternmost parts of Wales will see cloud at times, but the rest of the country can expect to see a good deal of sunshine. Heading east into the Midlands, and here we run back into cloudier skies. The sunshine a bit more limited, with the brightest and warmest conditions developing across the West Midlands. It's going to be fine across the northeast of England with a mix of patchy cloud and sunshine. The cloud most likely to affect the North Sea coast. With light winds, it should feel quite pleasant. Some low cloud also possible near the east coast of Scotland, so Edinburgh could catch some at times. Bulk of Scotland, though, will be sunny with some warm temperatures. And clear blue skies on the cards across Northern Ireland. Although an onshore breeze will keep parts of the coast a bit cool, it will be warm inland. The dry theme continues through the afternoon and evening with the clearest weather reserved for the north, the west and the far south.
GB News is the UK's home of discussion and debate
from all perspectives.
To stay up to date on the latest stories,
make sure that you subscribe to the GB News channel
right here on YouTube.
You can watch us live 24/7 across the whole world.
You can also check out exclusive content and catch up on previous episodes of your favourite shows.
Every day, we ask the questions
that you'd ask, so why not add your voice to the conversation in the comments section?
Don't forget to subscribe. We are GB News, Britain's news channel.
Every night at 11 on GB News, we bring you the next day's stories the day before.
Basically like time travel.
If it's a big story, we'll cover it, guaranteed. But we'll also have some fun along the way.
Big opinions, big laughs. Sometimes big hair.
This is
Headliners, the paper review show that won't send you to sleep like the others will.
11 p.m, 7 nights a week. Join us.
Hello there, I'm Eamon Holmes.
And I'm Isabel Webster.
And we hope you can join us for
Breakfast with Eamon
and Isabel.
You make me laugh out loud, belly laugh.
Is that important first thing in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's me trying to be deadly serious. News is a serious business.
Yeah, I have to rein you in sometimes.
Well, it doesn't stop us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on.
Yeah.
And it certainly will not stop us reflecting what you think.
Weekdays from 6 to 9:30 on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
President Biden says Vladimir Putin cannot remain in power, sparking chaos and confusion around the world as the White House is forced to walk back his comments.
Good morning, it's 9 o'clock on Sunday, the 27th of March, and a happy Mother's Day to all of you mums out there. This is Breakfast on GB News with Stephen and Ellie.
We're live across the whole of the UK. We're on your TV, on your radio and online.
Coming up for you this morning. The White House is scrambling to walk back on Joe Biden's comment that Vladimir Putin cannot remain in power, insisting he was not calling for a regime change. But is this one too many gaffes from the American leader? Let us know what you think.
600,000 people are being invited for COVID booster jabs this week. We'll break down what you need to know.
The world's biggest stars are preparing to glam up for tonight's Oscars, and it looks like the Brits could take over Tinseltown. We'll be bringing you all of the gossip ahead of Hollywood's big night.
And a very happy Mother's Day to you. We're celebrating mums throughout the programme today, and if you want to get involved, we would love that so much. Send us a picture of your mum to gbviews@gbnews.uk or tweet us at gbnews. So the White House is scrambling to walk back Joe Biden's comments last night that Vladimir Putin cannot remain in power, insisting he wasn't calling for regime change.
The American leader made the gaffe yesterday during a speech in Poland. Dismissing the comment, a Kremlin spokesperson said the president of Russia is a choice for the Russian people.
Well, Mr. Biden says the war has been, whatever else, a strategic failure for Moscow.
Where the appetites and ambitions of a few forever seek to dominate the lives and liberty of many. My message to the people of Ukraine is a message I delivered today to Ukraine's Foreign Minister and Defense Minister, who I believe are here tonight. We stand with you, period.
Well, Mike Tapp is a former military and intelligence officer, and he joins us now. Mike, good morning to you. What are your thoughts on Mr. Biden's comments? Is that a gaffe, or is he just saying what we're all thinking?
Well, Joe Biden, what he's demonstrated yesterday is historic. And what we're seeing is a stronger, more united NATO than ever, which is exactly what Vladimir Putin didn't want to see. We've seen, the Germans committing to defence spending that we haven't seen for decades, and Joe Biden feeling emboldened enough to clearly call for Putin to not hold on to power there. It's being reported as a gaffe, and the White House have made a statement, but we all know that Joe Biden uses a teleprompter, sometimes not very well. So I see these comments as being very deliberate, and the White House statement also being deliberate. But what this would have done was emboldened those around Putin who could be responsible for his fall in the future.
Well, it's an interesting point because we were told these were off the cuff remarks. You're saying then, well, you don't think so. You think that this is a strategy.
I think so. Joe Biden has decades of experience in politics. We all put these sort of, clever games at the reach of Vladimir Putin, but Biden's very capable too. And if you watch closely, which I did this morning, it doesn't look like a gaffe. It does look like it's being read from the teleprompter. One of Biden's weaknesses, I think, is delivering speeches from the teleprompter, so it's quite obvious.
OK, look, there is a concern, though, isn't there, with all of this and with rhetoric that we heard even before the invasion began, that it's poking the bear, to use that phrase. You're backing Putin into a corner where we know his strategy is failing, certainly how he originally envisaged it. Could we be pushing him to a point where he just says, right, I'm going to flatten some of these cities because we know he's got the capability?
It's a really good point, but I think that's the purpose of the White House statement following up Biden's comments. And Putin exploits weakness. So actually, strength and unity from NATO and from Biden is essential for Ukraine to be victorious here, in my opinion. We have to make it clear that there are red lines on the use of chemical weapons and invading or attacking a NATO country. But we don't have to show all of our cards as to exactly how we will respond. If we continue showing this unified, strong response, Putin is going to be looking for a way out, which, of course, we have to also look to provide.
I heard this morning that another high-ranking Russian officer has been killed by a strike in Kherson. This is something we have seen in the past couple of weeks. Do you think this is a deliberate tactic by the Ukrainians to go after senior Russian officers?
In military operations, you're always looking to take out senior officers, but it's not normally as easy as this, to be frank. And I think the reason for that is because of the failings of the Russian military on the front line. The fact that Vladimir Putin deceived his military into the invasion, meaning the morale is so low that the generals are having to take a front line, which means they're more exposed and more likely to be taken out. It's something that's not often seen during conflict.
No, look, I mean, it's a remarkable situation, and so unusual a situation that we're in at the moment. We appreciate your analysis, Mike Tapp, former intelligence officer. Thank you for that today. Of course, a lot of this, and we talk about the strategies, the military, the geopolitics in all of this, but we also talk a lot, and understandably so, about the real people, because it's the displacement of millions of people out of Ukraine, but also those displaced still within Ukraine, which is causing such huge concern and in effect, a humanitarian crisis. Thankfully, there's been a little bit of relief for 52 children from orphanages in Dnipro who've now arrived at a temporary new home in Scotland.
Yes, they'll stay in the Calendar area near Stirling before moving to Edinburgh in small family-style groups.
Well, let's hope this is the beginning of something new for them. Davy Donaldson is in Calendar for us this morning. They must, one can only imagine, David, they're being given the warmest of welcomes.
Yeah, that's right, Stephen. Absolutely. Scotland has opened arms and welcomed these Ukrainian orphans here, really trying to make them feel at home. As you can see behind me, beautiful surroundings here in this part of the world in Stirlingshire. Even got some snow in the hills there now that the fog is cleared. But yeah, absolutely heartwarming story this. Really, really good, really good. You know, the fact that everyone's come together, all these different charities, Save a Child, Virgin Atlantic obviously trying to get used for the plane to get them over from Warsaw. They flew to Heathrow and then on to Scotland. So all these people coming together to try and make sure that this has happened. We talked earlier about the Hibs, the Dnipro Trust as well, Birmingham Football Clubs, the Dnipro Trust. So they've been involved heavily with it as well. So it's a really, really heartwarming story, as I say, and hopefully these kids will settle quickly as possible and try to get on with their new lives. Earlier I spoke to Daniel Berger, who's one of the people who's been involved in getting them into Scotland.
It was as bizarre as, hello mate, how are you? I'm in the Ukraine with a group of orphans at the moment, trying to get them to Poland. You know Shai Weiss at Virgin Atlantic. Do you think you could get him to get us a plane? I thought that was ridiculous. Virgin aren't going to send a plane to Warsaw, and they don't fly there. And well, you know the rest of the story. 13 days later, we landed back in Heathrow with the children and their carers. So it's been crazy, but we did it. We did it. When you're so close to it and in it and speaking to all the parties from the Ukrainian government, the Polish government, British government, all of the charities involved, and sort of I'm so in the moment that I'm not really realizing actually, I know the end game, but we're not there. And we had this sort of are we, aren't we going on Monday situation. And so when Wednesday came and we were actually firstly wheels up in Warsaw with the kids, then there was that euphoria that we're on our way and the kids' first experience on a plane. But when we landed at Heathrow, the doors opened and we're all waving goodbye at the top of the steps. There's that dawn of realization that they're going off to start this next chapter of their lives. And we're all just crying. Everyone's crying and hugging each other because we've done it. And every single person on that plane played their part in making this happen. I was saying the other day to my colleagues that this is the best demonstration of British society coming together and working for common good. And I think if this group has highlighted anything to the nation, it's what can be achieved. And, you know, hats off to everybody involved, from Ian Blackford to Lord Harrington to all the governments and to everyone. When you come together and you work together, so much can be achieved. I just hope that more come and it isn't as painful a process as it's been this time round.
Yeah, Daniel Berger there, obviously heavily involved in getting the 52 Ukrainian orphans to Scotland. They're aged between 2 to 18 years old. Speaking to Daniel before, he said that they've started to settle in. They've even been playing football and they're here with 5 carers as well. So, yeah, it's obviously going to take time for them to settle in to their new surroundings. But, you know, they're doing that, and in time they'll move on to Edinburgh, and hopefully we can get more orphans to come over here as well in due course.
OK, Davey, thank you very much indeed. Let's bring you up to date then with the latest headlines for you at 11 minutes past 9. And the White House has been swift to deny that the US president was calling for regime change in Moscow. Joe Biden said Vladimir Putin can't remain in power and branded him a butcher. The Kremlin responded saying the people of Russia, not America, should choose its leader.
Sanctions against Russia could be lifted if Vladimir Putin ends his invasion of Ukraine and commits to no further aggression. That's what the Foreign Secretary has said. Liz Truss says that the Foreign Office has put a negotiations unit in place to aid possible peace talks with the Kremlin.
600,000 people are being invited for COVID booster jabs this week. That comes as infection levels reach near record highs in England. Officials think that about 1 in 16 people had the virus last week.
The school week will need to be at least 32 and a half hours long for everyone by September next year. That's under levelling up plans in the government's new Schools White Paper, which is published tomorrow. It's as the Department for Education says some pupils are missing out on around 2 weeks' worth of schooling a year.
Loads of you getting in touch with Mother's Day messages. I've just got to read this one because it's been in our inbox a little while and I didn't see it. It's from Jess. Morning, Jess. Can you please say Happy Mother's Day to Anna Dale? And that's from Jess, Tony and Danielle in Eastbourne. It is our privilege and our pleasure to do that. Anna Dale, Happy Mother's Day to you. I wonder what you've had or will get for Mother's Day, because, of course, it's time for a little gift. I think homemade gifts are always nice. Make a cake or something, that's a nice thing to do. But, of course, you might want to go out and buy flowers, buy chocolates, buy a bottle of
wine.
Prosecco. That's the thing these days, isn't it?
Yeah, it doesn't go amiss, does it? Now, of course, all of these items do need to be purchased. So how have businesses fared, given that we, the public, have less money in our pockets due to the rise in the cost of living?
It's been fairly steady for cakes. People always like to treat themselves to cake, and that's Mother's Day is definitely our busiest day of the year, and it always has been since day one when we opened in 2010. So, and I think you always really associate cake with your mum. So it's just one of these things that, you know, it'll never stop. I don't think, no matter what state the country's in, really.
It's hard to tell because obviously with Brexit and COVID and things, it's been a bit all over the place, but I feel like it's getting back to normal, and this year it feels a lot better. It feels like pre-COVID times, which is good. So this year I feel has been one of the best compared to during COVID. But the problem is my cost of my flowers have went up. So say like if it's usually 20, that 20 is now what we call 30. So even though they are spending that wee bit more, thankfully I think we're having to push them to do that. They're not necessarily getting more flowers for that, which is a bit disappointing, but it's how life's going on at the moment. We just have to go with the flow the best we can.
Yeah.
Go with the flow.
Do the best we can. And that's all your mummies want, right? They just want us to do the best that we can.
Well, they do, but, you know, you can still get in trouble with your mother on Mother's Day.
Yeah.
And I'm speaking to you, Dave Rowley, from Bradwell in Staffordshire. Is that a lovely picture? Here's my mum Mary, says Dave. She's in her 80s, but don't tell her I told you so. Solid as a rock for us three lads. Oh, thanks, Dave. That's a really nice message.
That's really lovely. We've had something in on email from Tracy, a message from her. She says she totally relates to Aidan, the sports guy, about his mum. If you missed that earlier, Aidan very movingly was talking about his mum, who he sadly lost 11 years ago, and Tracy writes that she lost her mum 15 years ago, and like Aidan said, she misses her every single day. She says, I'm sending love to all who have lost their mums, their nans and their friends. Trace, that is a really lovely message, and I think it is really important to remember the mums that are no longer with us on Mother's Day as well. I know it's a very hard day for lots of people, people who've lost their mums, people who want to be mums but for whatever reason can't be, and perhaps people that have difficult relationships with their mothers as well. It's a hard day for them as well.
Yeah, never thought of that. It's the one thing that I dread. I dread losing my parents.
I can't imagine.
Will happen. So, do you know what was weird in our family? We're a bit typical northern family, and we joke about everything, and we joke about all of that. And I say, oh yeah, oh, when are you going to pop off? I'll, soap the step and all that. We do all of that. But actually, it's my greatest fear.
Yeah.
It is my greatest fear, because they're just such a part of my life.
Exactly. And that's why days like today are so special, isn't it? For them to know, whilst they're still here, just how loved they are and appreciated they are. And we love our mummies very much. So happy Mother's Day to all of the mums out there. And we hope you have a very lovely day.
Jacob, who was doing the papers earlier on, was talking about his mum. So here she is. That's a lovely picture.
Lovely photo. Loads of glam mums this morning. We're getting them all out,
and he was
aren't
also
we?
saying his mother-in-law is with them at the moment, because his wife's Ukrainian, and so his mother-in-law's. And
they've rescued them all from Ukraine.
Come over, yeah.
Absolutely amazing story, isn't it? Yeah.
Our producer Christian, because we're going through all the GB News family as well. Our producer Christian is here with his mum, Margaret from South Wales. That's a nice picture. Happy Mother's Day, Margaret. Let's look at the weather for you, and it's dry with plenty of sunshine in many areas, although cloudier across some central and eastern parts. And the detail then, apart from a little patchy low cloud near the English Channel coast, the southwest of England can expect wall-to-wall sunshine, temperatures in the high teens. Meanwhile, more in the way of cloud affecting the southeast, and as a result, a cooler day here than of late. Easternmost parts of Wales will see cloud at times, but the rest of the country can expect to see a good deal of sunshine. Heading east into the Midlands, and here we run back into cloudier skies. The sunshine a bit more limited, with the brightest and warmest conditions developing across the West Midlands. It's going to be fine across the northeast of England with a mix of patchy cloud and sunshine. The cloud most likely to affect the North Sea coasts. With light winds, it should feel quite pleasant. Some low cloud also possible near the east coast of Scotland, so Edinburgh could catch some at times. Bulk of Scotland, though, will be sunny with some warm temperatures. And clear blue skies on the cards across Northern Ireland. Although an onshore breeze will keep parts of the coast a bit cool, it will be warm inland. The dry theme continues through the afternoon and evening, with the clearest weather reserved for the north, the west, and the far south.
GB News is the UK's home of discussion and debate
from all perspectives.
To stay up to date on the latest stories,
make sure that you subscribe to the GB News channel
right here on YouTube.
You can watch us live 24/7 across the whole world.
You can also check out exclusive content and catch up on previous episodes of your favourite shows.
Every day, we ask the questions
that you'd ask, so why not add your voice to the conversation in the comments section?
Don't forget to subscribe. We are GB News, Britain's news channel.
Every night at 11 on GB News, we bring you the next day's stories the day before.
It's basically like time travel.
If it's a big story, we'll cover it, guaranteed. But we'll also have some fun along the way.
Big opinions, big laughs. Sometimes big hair.
This is
Headliners, the paper review show that won't send you to sleep like the others will.
11 p.m, 7 nights a week. Join us.
Hello there, I'm Eamon Holmes.
And I'm Isabel Webster.
And we hope you can join us for
Breakfast with Eamon
and Isabel.
You make me laugh out loud, belly laugh.
Is that important first thing in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's me trying to be deadly serious. News is a serious business.
Yeah, I have to rein you in sometimes.
Well, it doesn't stop us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on.
Yeah.
And it certainly will not stop us reflecting what you think.
Weekdays from 6 to 9:30 on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton Tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
It's 20 minutes past 9. Welcome back. You are watching and listening to Breakfast with Stephen and Ellie. We are live across the UK on both your TV and your radio.
It's a very bad time to come back on telly, actually, because someone was just about to bring me a cup of tea and he's gone back out the studio now. I think, and yeah, that's
Have to wait for the next
what
break.
we need. I was like, come in, bring the tea. What are you having for breakfast this morning?
Yeah, I hope your mums are having breakfast in bed.
That's what you need, even if it's just a slice of toast and a boiled egg. It's nice.
The thought that
Mums
counts,
like it.
isn't it? Yeah, it often comes up cold. And probably not very good. But,
cheese on toast.
Yeah, oh, that's
cheese
like
on
a
toast,
breakfast.
that'd be nice.
Beans on toast, a humble breakfast.
Oh, I like beans on
So
toast.
do I.
Yeah.
It's great, Brecky.
Do you ever put anything in the beans? Like a little bit of chilli powder or smoked paprika or anything like that?
That's a bit weird.
I know that sounds a bit posh, doesn't it? Smoked paprika. But it's very nice.
It's a bit posh.
You know,
Bit too posh for us.
You know, I am a northern boy, really. Now, it has been 4 months since the Omicron variant was first identified in South Africa, and since then it has become the dominant strain in the UK. But now a London hospital is leading one of the world's first Omicron-specific vaccine trials.
Our London reporter, Alice Porter, went to take a look.
Omicron is much more infectious than the previously dominant variant Delta. With Omicron continuing to push up COVID cases and hospitalisations, Chief Investigator for the study, Dr. Catherine Cosgrove, is hoping the trial will be vital in protecting people against the strain.
They'll either have the Moderna, the normal licensed vaccine that's been used worldwide to millions of people, or they'll have a vaccine that's been slightly changed so that it produces a protein that is more like the Omicron variant protein. And so what we're looking to see, I mean, we don't know whether then the body will then produce antibodies against the specific Omicron. A bit like we have with flu, each year we have a different type of vaccine for the strains that are circulating. Probably with COVID vaccines, that's what we'll have to do.
More than 3,000 volunteers are taking part in the trial over 13 months, and Dr. Eva Giliza says all have to be thoroughly examined first.
We check their eligibility by looking at their medical history, their surgical history, what medications they're on as well. And then we do some baseline observations, so temperature, heart rate, pulse rate and blood pressures and so on.
I've never done a clinical trial before, and today they are running through a load of kind of tests, taking bloods, doing a load of other samples, just so they've got all of the data that they need.
Birgit has passed her medical checks and can now receive a vaccine. For her, it's an opportunity to give back.
I've lived here coming up to 40 years and I have made use of the NHS. And also, as I said, my daughter is a doctor, and if people don't take part and in trials or let them use blood samples or whatever samples they can, then doctors and nurses cannot be trained.
With COVID cases continuing to rise, with an estimated 1 in 20 people infected in England, the need to find a vaccine to prevent people from catching Omicron is more important than ever. Alice Porter, GB News.
Now let's get all royal for you this morning. The Duke of Cambridge has acknowledged the monarchy's days in Belize, Jamaica and the Bahamas may be numbered, as he stated the future is for the people to decide upon.
William and Kate visited the three nations during their Caribbean tour, which was mired in controversy.
Yeah, which I think is a little bit unfair.
Yeah, I
because
completely agree.
Some of it seemed a bit controversial, but I don't wonder if it's just the spin we've put on it here in the UK. Let's talk to Ingrid Stewart, Editor-in-Chief of Majesty magazine. Really good to see you this morning, Ingrid. Look, is it a fair assessment to say this was a sort of controversial tour, or is it just the way we're seeing it over here?
Well, I spoke to somebody in Jamaica last night, and I think it was very much... I think it has been a little exaggerated, but I think it is quite the case, because I think what the palace hadn't taken into sort of view was that things have changed there in the last 2 years, since the pandemic and since the Black Lives Matter movement. And there's a really big underswell of people that really don't want to have anything to do with the Queen as head of state. It's not an insult to the Queen. It's just they want to be independent. Their lives are different. And it's nothing to do with the Queen. It's all to do with the government. She doesn't say, I want to be head of state. It's the government that say this, and the government of Jamaica. So I think William was rather caught in this whirlwind. And I think he handled it very, very well.
Agree with you, Ingrid. And there were significant comments from William last night, weren't there, about the future of the Commonwealth and who will lead it?
Yes, he gave an extremely good speech, obviously written for him, perhaps by the Queen's press secretary, perhaps by the government. But also his enthusiasm was there, and he's saying, I don't have to be head of the Commonwealth. It's not up to me. We just want to be there to help and keep the Commonwealth together. It doesn't have to, he didn't say these words, but what he meant was it does not have to have a royal head. It's just something that they will always look after, because the Commonwealth was something the Queen cared about so much. And this is her Jubilee year. And I think it would be, I think it is a shame that these countries have decided to do it now, but it's their anniversaries coming up. That's the thing that spurred it on. It's the anniversary of the independence of Jamaica, of Belize, and of the Bahamas.
Interesting, isn't it? Because obviously the Queen is preparing for change. You know, she's getting all her cards in order, isn't she? Ready for when the time comes. You do get the impression that we are going to see, whether it's just how you know Charles is as king to how the Commonwealth behaves. You do get the impression that we are in for a few decades where royalty really is going to change somewhat. We are going to see a change of pace, a change of emphasis somewhat.
I quite agree. I think the way this tour is being conducted, we won't see the like of it again. I mean, we got Edward and Sophie are going to do a big Caribbean tour in April. Princess Anne, the Princess Royal, she's going to Papua New Guinea. I think she's going somewhere there. And so they are continuing to do it. But I think in the future, these tours are going to be much, much more casual, which is probably what William and Kate wanted anyway. I think William did look a bit disgruntled some of the time and a bit on his back foot because it's not how he likes to be. He's always wanted to be very casual. So I think he was, you know, doing a few things that perhaps he didn't want to do, but, you know, felt that it was his duty to do so.
And Ingrid, we are running out of time, but I did want to ask you about Her Majesty the Queen. Will we be expecting to see her at the Duke of Edinburgh's memorial service on Tuesday?
Absolutely. I'm sure she will be there if she can be there. And I know that she really, it's very important to her. So whether even if she has to be there in a wheelchair, but the problem is it's her mobility. That is the thing that's been stopping her do things. And you know, she's pin sharp, she's very together, and I think she desperately wants to be there, and we just have to hope she will be able to make it.
Oh yes, let's hope so. Let's hope so. She's definitely pin sharp, no doubt about that. Ingrid Stewart, really good to talk to you this morning. Thank you. I just love the Queen.
Me too. Makes me very sad to think of her in a wheelchair, but she is almost 96 years old. We do need to remember that, don't we?
Oh, very, very good. I mean, she's incredibly fit for someone of her age.
She really is.
Remarkable.
Stoic. She's amazing.
Good for her.
And happy Mother's Day to her as well, if she's watching. Happy Mother's Day to the Queen.
Yes, Mum.
Mum, yeah.
She might be watching, I don't know.
She could be. That'd be good, wouldn't it? And a happy Mother's Day to all of you mums watching at home. I hope you're having a really lovely day and you're being spoilt rotten. We've been sharing lots of photos and messages to all of your mums at home today. So do keep those coming in. It's gbviews@gbnews.uk. We're trying to get through as many as we can. I'll share one with you now. This is from Sunny for his mum, Kim. He says, Mukhtar for Mother's Day, overrun by 4 men in the family from Sunny, Harvey and Kobe. She's surrounded by all the men in her life.
I bet she loves it. Yeah. I bet she's proud as punch for that. It's really nice, Sunny. Thank you. We've been going through our GB News family mothers as well, and I have to say that one of our producers here, she's not in today, Navjeet. Honestly, she's just brilliant. She's brilliant. There's so many lovely people here. It's incredible.
It's a good team.
Actually, it's a really nice team. So here's Navjeet with her mom, Sharon, from Warrington in Cheshire. So happy Mother's Day to you, Sharon. And nice to get...
GB News is the UK's home of discussion and debate
from all perspectives.
To stay up to date on the latest stories,
make sure that you subscribe to the GB News channel
right here on YouTube.
You can watch us live 24/7 across the whole world.
You can also check out exclusive content and catch up on previous episodes of your favourite shows.
Every day, we ask the questions
that you'd ask, so why not add your voice to the conversation in the comments section?
Don't forget to subscribe. We are GB News, Britain's news channel.
Every night at 11 on GB News, we bring you the next day's stories the day before.
Basically like time travel.
If it's a big story, we'll cover it, guaranteed. But we'll also have some fun along the way.
Big opinions, big laughs. Sometimes big hair.
This is
Headliners, the paper review show that won't send you to sleep like the others will.
11 p.m, 7 nights a week. Join us.
Hello there, I'm Eamon Holmes.
And I'm Isabel Webster.
And we hope you can join us for
Breakfast with Eamon.
And Isabel.
You make me laugh out loud, belly laugh.
Is that important first thing in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's me trying to be deadly serious. News is a serious business.
Yeah, I have to rein you in sometimes.
Well, it doesn't stop us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on.
Yeah.
And it certainly will not stop us reflecting what you think.
Weekdays from 6 to 9:30 on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
"9:32, very good morning to you. This is Breakfast with Stephen and Ellie on your TV, your radio and online.
Yeah, we'll be going through the papers in just a minute.
No, we
but
won't.
first, no, we won't. That's
No, we
a
won't,
lie.
no.
That's fake
Not
news, that
true.
is. We're going to be going
That's
through
not
sports
true.
and entertainment in just a few minutes. But first of all, we have the headlines for you.
Yeah, the White House has been swift to deny that the US president has been calling for regime change in Moscow. Joe Biden had said Vladimir Putin cannot remain in power and branded him a butcher. The Kremlin responded, saying the people of Russia, not America, should choose its leader.
The UK's Ministry of Defence say Russia is concentrating efforts on encircling Ukrainian forces in separatist regions in the east of the country. Russian forces are advancing from the direction of Kharkiv in the north and Mariupol in the south. In their latest update, the ministry say Ukrainian counterattacks are hampering Russian attempts to reorganise their forces.
Former US President Donald Trump says he's shocked by Vladimir Putin's attack on Ukraine. He made the comments at a rally in the US state of Georgia and reiterated his belief that Russia would never have invaded if he'd been in charge.
Putin's heinous attack on a proud and sovereign nation shocks the conscience of every person of goodwill, shocks the conscience of the people of Georgia, I can tell you.
More than half of Britons think the government should drop visa requirements for Ukrainians seeking refuge in the country. A new poll by Savanta Comres for The Independent reveals 54% support a no visa policy, compared to 21% who think the visa requirement should remain in place.
A second black box from the China Eastern Airlines plane that crashed on Monday has been recovered. Rescuers say it was found underground, about 40 metres from where the Boeing 737 crashed in Guangxi region in southern China. There were 132 people on board. No one survived. The box will now be sent to Beijing to be analysed with the other black box recorder that was found last week.
600,000 people are being invited for COVID booster jabs next week. It's as infection levels reach near record highs in England, with official figures estimating 1 in 16 people had the virus last week.
Now the school week needs to be at least 32.5 hours for everyone by September next year. It's under levelling up plans in the government's schools white paper, due to be published tomorrow. The Department for Education says some pupils are currently missing out on about 2 weeks' worth of schooling every year. It is Mother's Day, of course, and it's not just about making long-lasting memories, but also remembering those that we've lost.
Yeah, so for those of us who may find us in a really difficult yet challenging position, our behavioural psychologist, Joe Hemming, has joined us now to share some advice that could help. And Joe, this is a difficult day for many people. I don't know if you were watching earlier when our sports correspondent Aidan McGee was with us. He was talking very movingly about losing his mother 11 years ago. And this is a very difficult day, isn't it, for many people who've lost their mothers or perhaps have a difficult relationship with their mother.
It is very tough, no doubt about it. I think you get some consideration now, at least with emails you might subscribe to. They now warn you if you don't want to see emails regarding Mother's Day, you can opt out. But I remember when I lost my own mum, actually it was seeing things like the cards in the shops to the wonderful mum, to the best mum in the world, which of course everybody's mum is the best mum in the world. That just really, people find that very, very difficult. I found it difficult, and I actually thought, do you know what, I'm going to turn it into a day, and I'd advise anybody to sort of go back through the memories of your mum. And yeah, it will probably make you weepier in some ways than just trying to pretend it isn't Mother's Day at all. But I think remembering your mum and remembering the good times, celebrating your mum if she's not with you anymore is actually, and thinking about her is actually a lovely way to spend the day rather than trying to avoid it, because it does let your emotions out and it keeps that kind of bond going. But for those who have a difficult relationship with their mum, don't feel they can see them for whatever reason, have had a family estrangement, again, it's a very tough one. I mean, obviously, I would encourage people to reach out if they can and at least check in as one would on a birthday or a Christmas and say, Happy Mother's Day. But sadly, for some people, they're not able to do that. They have had a broken relationship or not a bond with their mum for whatever reason. And again, it's one of those tough days where it will trigger memories of perhaps the reasons why you've had a difficult relationship, what happened, wondering how you might be able to repair it, not wanting to repair it. I don't know, whatever it is, it's of course a triggering day for people that have either lost their mums or...
that's the issue. Although it's very sad for those who've lost their moms on a day like today, as you say, at least there are those lovely memories to look back on. You can try and sort of build that legacy if you like. But for those who haven't got that relationship, I mean, I know every circumstance is different, but in many cases, and friends of mine who are in that position, it's very difficult for them to acknowledge that actually they haven't received from their mother that maternal love, which we actually, I mean, especially in childhood, but through adulthood as well, we are very dependent on.
Very, and not only dependent, we need it. It's something that helps us flourish. And there are some mothers who don't have those maternal bonds. There are some mothers who perhaps had their children under difficult circumstances or that child wasn't wanted. That's really hard on people. Of course, as you say, you haven't got the happy memories. You've got only bad memories. There's resentment, there's difficulty. For those people, I'd say, you just got to move on from this day. Some mums just don't have it. I deal with a lot of family conflict resolution, and I meet mums who just say to me, I can't give them any more than I give them. I wasn't born with a nurturing gene. And I can't give them the love that they want, but I try and help them out. It's a blow. How did you end up with a mum like that and somebody else had a very loving, caring, giving mum? And it seems a very unfair distribution of care. And so I understand how people must really struggle with that.
Yeah. Look, really good to talk to you this morning. Thank you for that. Hopefully it's well, if nothing else, people realise they're not on their own when it comes to these problems on days like this. Jo Hemmings, thanks very much indeed. Appreciate it. I just want to run through one or two more messages that we've had through about Mother's Day, actually. Les says, could you please send all my love to Eve, my wife, on Mother's Day. She's not very well at the moment. Hope you get better soon, Eve. She puts a brave face on. She's a brilliant mum to our whole family.
Claire has been in touch, very similar to what Jo Hemmings was just speaking about there. It's about loss. She says, this morning's programme on Mother's Day has been so beautifully presented by all. I would like to spare a thought for all mums who've lost a beloved child. We haven't touched upon that yet. That is really important, actually. Lots of mums will be struggling with that today, children that aren't there to celebrate with them. Claire says, this is my first Mother's Day after losing my beloved daughter, who fought cancer for nearly 20 years. Oh, that's giving me goosebumps. Yeah. She joined her brother in heaven last year, and while it is a lovely day for most mums, it is also a heartbreaking day for mums like myself who will never feel their daughter's arms around them again, saying, Happy Mother's Day, Mum, I love you so much. Well, Claire, that is so moving. Thank you so much for sending that in, and your daughter was very lucky to have a mum as lovely as you. And
your son.
And your son as well, yes. And she'll be watching over you wherever she is.
I'm sure. I don't. You see, when it comes to things, afterlife and all that sort of thing, I'm not entirely sure where I stand, but I don't believe that people just disappear.
It's not a nice thought, is it?
No, I don't. There's something watching over us that with that. I don't know. There's a spirit, whatever it is. Scott says, "Can you please wish a happy Mother's Day to my mum Tony and my partner John's mum Jean?" Lots of love from Scott and John in Mansfield. Oh, I like Mansfield. I used to work in Nottingham, so I used to be up in Mansfield quite a lot. The police headquarters used to be up there. Used to go up for the news conferences all the time. Whether it's still there or not, I don't know. That was back in the 90s. Anyway, keep your thoughts coming through on that. We're going to turn our attention to a fancy bit of sport with Aidan McGee and a fancy bit of showbiz with Ellie Phillips. Morning, both. And for once, Aidan, you're being pushed to second place.
Yeah, I know.
Because we've got to talk Oscars.
Yes,
we've got to go Oscars first and foremost. Ellie, he's not happy, Ellie.
He's fuming at me. He's going to kick me off.
There's some diving yesterday in the game. That's a form of acting.
All right, OK.
I see what you did there. I see what you did. Yes, it's the Oscars tonight. It's all happening over in LA. The live broadcast we're going to be able to see over here in the early hours of the morning. So the kind of the red carpet stuff kicks off about 11:30, and then the live stream starts at 1 a.m. So it's going to be a very late night for showbiz journalists like me, but it's always worth it because it's always incredible, and we're just so happy to have things back, and these incredible events that are going to be packed to the rafters with celebrities and A-list stars in these incredible gowns. I can't wait to see the fashion. The attendee list is just so A-list. It's phenomenal. So yeah, it's going to be a really interesting night. There are some clear front runners in terms of Best Picture, Actors and Actress Awards. One that's also hotly contested that we haven't spoken about yet is Animated Feature. There are 5 films up for this, and I think Encanto is going to take the win on this one. We've also got Flea, Luke. Yeah, it's got to. It's so beautiful, isn't it?
It's amazing.
Can't get that song out of my head either. But we've also got Flea, Luca, Ray and the Last Dragon, The Mitchells and the Machines. But yeah, I think Encanto is going to win that, and I think that No Time to Die is going to be the winning song for Billie Eilish, which is going to be incredible as well. I know you're not too much of a fan, Stephen.
No, maybe I'm just too old.
Oh.
I think I might be too old for Billie Eilish.
We've touched a nerve here, haven't we?
Well, no. Do you know what? I don't mind getting older. I don't mind. I don't mind 2 hoots, but
getting older privilege, isn't it?
It's a different generation.
Yeah, maybe you're right on that one. Something I think you guys really will find interesting about the Oscars is a study that's just been released, and this is from the Paralysis Recovery Centre, which is where all the A-list stars go when they're battling with addiction or they're battling with any mental health problems. It's like £75,000 a week or something to go there.
Oh.
So these guys know their stuff, and they've released a study that shows that Oscar winners are 7 times more likely to suffer from mental health and addiction issues.
Really?
Yeah. So it's an interesting one. As much as everyone wants to be an Oscar winner, wants to be up for these awards, it's actually interesting to show how, that level of success sometimes is quite difficult to deal with. And that's what they found, that actually you can end up having this feeling of, how did I achieve all this, not really understanding it, that can lead to, depression and anxiety and things like that. The general population, 10% of people suffer with mental health, but of Oscar winners, it goes up to 68%. So it's an interesting one.
That is really interesting.
Is there anxiety involved in chasing the dream, do you think, Ellie, from what you know about these people?
Yeah, I think it's that understanding of what it takes to get there and to get that level of success takes something that's extraordinary, not just in terms of the talent, but the work, the effort, breaking down barriers, getting those roles, putting the effort in. You hear about these stories of actors that put their bodies through so much when they do this, method actors who go into it for, a year and don't break who their character is, and then to come out of that on the other side, win an accolade and think, oh, what's just happened? How do I deal with that from there on in?
Well, it's going back to normal life for at least a short period of time, isn't it? That must be a difficult acclimatisation. It's a little bit like when a footballer has the adulation throughout a career and then suddenly have to go back to being a normal guy again.
Yeah, it's exactly the same thing. And it's how you deal with that. And interestingly, what they found is that there's a genetic link between creativity and conditions like depression and bipolar, which I didn't know that.
No.
So it's an interesting one. So we've got some very creative people up for these awards, and hopefully they won't struggle too much with their mental health afterwards, and they'll be able to handle this level of fame and success.
And Ellie, a quick word on the Brits, because that's what we all care about. Are we going to win anything?
So I think we will win via Amelia Jones. So she is the lead actress in Coda. She's not up for the award, but Coda, I think, will take Best Picture. So I do think we'll see her on the stage, being as part of this ensemble, collecting the award. And Coda stands for Child of Deaf Adults.
Right.
Yes. And that film does sound really interesting, actually. That one. Really good.
Got some football.
Yes, please.
So England played Switzerland yesterday. Normally you'd have this warm-up period 3 months out from a World Cup, but the World Cup's happening much later this year. The frontline players were given a bit of a rest from yesterday. Some of the second-line players came in. They all did very well. And what I liked about it was I'm not a huge fan of friendlies. I like combat in my sport. You know, I like action. I like physicality. You know me. You can probably guess that. You can probably guess that, right? But yesterday it was competitive. There were tackles flying in. Good chance for Gareth Southgate to look at Mark Gray, Kyle Walker-Peters, Tyreek Mitchell, Conor Gallagher, who's on loan to Crystal Palace from Chelsea. Harry Kane, of course, scoring his 49th goal, going level with Bobby Charlton on England's all-time record goal-scoring list. Only 4 out from Wayne Rooney now, so a hell of an achievement for him. They play Ivory Coast on Tuesday, but we also saw some great news yesterday from Denmark. Obviously not England involved, but plays in the Premier League, suffered a terrible heart attack, cardiac arrest in the Euros last summer. I was watching that on TV, I'm sure you were as well. I wasn't hopeful for him.
No.
For him to come back 8 months later and score a goal at international level, a very good goal as well, and then 2 minutes later pivot in just outside the centre circle and hit the upright. That's a phenomenal achievement of strength. He's not a player we necessarily looked at because he was so graceful and stylish, but behind that silky exterior must be an extremely determined human being because he was lying on that floor, on that pitch, and it looked like overshadowing the tournament last summer. Everyone was silent. The commentators were saying, well, you know, we're normally commentating on football. Now we're looking at someone who could be dying in front of our eyes and in front of a live audience. To come back from that, and you can see from the pictures there, to get a round of applause from all the Dutch fans, that was an extraordinary achievement. And long may it continue. He's with Brentford now in the Premier League, and we hope his recovery continues unabated.
Yeah. What a comeback, absolutely incredible. And a quick word on the cricket as well.
Let's make it a quick word, shall we? No, it wasn't good. It wasn't good news. Yeah, a batting collapse for England and the West Indies. Joe Root getting out for 5. All-rounder Ben Stokes out for 4. 9 in total. Absolutely terrible stand by England there. And it's just going back to the 90s, really. I mean, I used to get up and go to school and hear about another England batting collapse overnight. We're getting to that period now. It's 10 years ago, this was the best side in the world, and they've now sunk so low in the last 10 years that serious questions are being asked around the captaincy. The coach bit the dust around about the time of the Ashes. England don't seem to travel well. When a sportsman doesn't travel well, if a boxer goes abroad and can't win fights abroad, it says something about their mentality. If a football team can't win games away from home, you say, you know, they're homers. They can play well at home in front of the home crowd. When the odds are against them, they don't like that. And it's the same with this England team. They're still decent on home shores. When they go abroad, they simply crumble, and that's simply not good enough for cricket fans.
No, it's not, is it? Bad news there, bad news.
Do you know, I've never been a cricket fan, but I've got to say, it does sound like a good day out.
Interesting?
Yeah, it's interesting, and I've heard it's a really good day out.
Yeah, bring a picnic. Yeah, you can stack all your beer. I mean, my picnic is mainly beer. Yeah. I might have a sandwich a couple of days later. You know?
Exactly.
Right. Oh, you're a very bad influence, if you don't mind me saying. Very bad influence.
I've stumped you there.
Do you know what? I'm trying to get hold of Anne Diamond, because she's been on holiday for a few weeks, and
that's why I'm here.
She's mid-Atlantic,
okay.
And trying to have a little catch up with her, but unfortunately we can't get hold of her. So I was just thought we can't get the link up, so I thought I'll try ringing her, and so I could hold it up to the mic. But anyway, she's not answering.
Is she missing my cricket updates? Is she?
She is. But you know, she is literally in the middle of the ocean, so we can't get hold of her.
I'd love to go on a cruise. Have you been on a cruise?
They're the best.
I've never been on a cruise.
They are amazing.
I could never understood why they were always marketed towards people who were like 65 plus. Wearing long gowns. I mean, I think I'd love to go on.
They are amazing. I was a complete sceptic, and I ended up going on one a couple of years ago. We did really lucky enough to go on this Caribbean cruise. We were the youngest people on the cruise. I mean, we've dropped the age by about 20, 30 years.
Yeah. And was there enough to do?
Yeah, but you wake up somewhere the next morning in a different place. So it's like a floating hotel, essentially. So you get to see so much of the world without the stress of packing and unpacking and packing and unpacking. You just wake up and you're in this new, beautiful location. You get to go and explore. It's amazing. It does sound good.
I fancy a river cruise. I was meant to be going on a river cruise, Budapest to Bucharest.
Ooh.
But then it all got cancelled because of COVID. And then now, of course... you wouldn't want to go to that part of the world on a holiday.
How does it, you go and stay for like the day, don't you? A certain island or location.
And then you get back on and work at somewhere else. It's quite nice. Look, it's been good to see you both. Thank you very much indeed. I want to break it because we're talking Mother's Day, and there's something very special about this next picture, because it's very important to me. And this is from Jane. Have we got? Oh, that's my producer. No, we haven't got Anne Diamond. There you go. Now this, if we lose the strap there, if we can, That on the right is Sylvia. Now, Sylvia used to tweet me all the time when I worked somewhere else. And then I was at a Brian May concert, and I saw this little old woman at the front waving at me and realised it was that woman off Twitter. And we became firm friends after that, and even to the point she passed away a couple of years ago, and even going to see her just in her final days in hospital up north, where she was a lot more frail. It was very sad to see her like that, but just to be able to see her and say a goodbye.
Did she call you that bloke off the telly?
She called me all sorts of stuff. And that's her daughter, Jane, there, who's become a good friend as a result of all of this. And you know what? And that, although I'm not a fan of Twitter and things, generally speaking, there are times when you just think, oh, it works, and it does some really nice things.
Yeah, especially with photos and sharing memories.
Oh, Sylvia.
That is so special, isn't it? That's a lovely photo of the three of you.
How long ago was that, Stephen?
7 or 8 years ago, maybe, thereabouts. Maybe a bit more now, actually. Looking at my face, I look a bit...
What's the problem? Can I just say, what's your problem with social media?
I find it a bit intrusive, really, and I tell you what I don't like is the nastiness, the negativity on social media.
Yeah.
You know, people should be nice. I like people to be nice. I try to be. I don't always succeed, but I try to be a nice person, and I don't like it when people are nasty, and that's... You know, you get a lot of that on social media.
Cesspit.
Yeah, I find it really, like, if I think about if there's ever any negative comments, like any of us, for example, and then I think, gosh, imagine if you're someone like, you know, Adele, who used to actively use social media, or other massive stars who've got these millions and millions of followers, and how they must feel if they get a constant tirade, if they do anything wrong, and it must just be so overwhelming. But,
I hope that they have someone else to do it for them, really, a lot of it.
I see footballers, for example, the footballers of maybe 10, 20 years ago on screen criticising the generation of today, and a lot of the criticism is justified for certain things they get up to. One thing the player of yesteryear didn't have to put up with, they played in the 90s or in the 2000s, didn't have to put up with pot shots on Twitter from anonymous accounts.
Yeah.
And people saying, you know, criticising him for all sorts of stuff, personal attacks on family. Anything else that can arise from that as well. It must be deeply uncomfortable, and it's a new phenomenon that kind of crept up from left field, actually. And as I say, those footballers or the sports people who criticise from yesteryear, they need to consider that they didn't have to deal with that in their career. I think it's a horrible thing. It's not going to go away either. It's going to get worse.
No.
Look, I'm going to indulge myself because as it's Mother's Day, I've got one more picture for you.
It's a good
this
one.
Morning.
Oh, it's baby Stephen.
Baby Stephen. Well, I think it's me.
Oh, I think it's you. I think you can see.
I think that's me, and not my brother Richard.
It's definitely you, because you're staring straight at the camera.
Well, if that's me, then that's from 1974.
Wow.
And that's my mum as she'd been in her 20s then.
I like those bay windows in the background as well.
Do you?
I quite like properties.
Yes, I'm not quite sure whereabouts. So it's in Barrow somewhere, or Dalton, somewhere like, up in Cumbria. But there you go, 1974. Me and my mum, and we've stayed that close ever since.
Oh, and it has been so lovely seeing all of your pictures today. Thank you so much for sending them in to us.
Talking of pictures, you won't be able to see that. Can you just about make that out?
Make it out.
Which is Anne Diamond on her cruise ship, trying to connect to us here at GBNews Centre.
She tried.
And not being able to do it. But I tell you what, the view out the front of the boat looks amazing.
It does. Hope you're enjoying your holiday, Anne.
Back next week, is she?
She's back next week. So it means, what a breath of relief for me.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
It's been hard work.
I was going to say.
It's been a joy. Thank you both very much indeed.
Thank you.
And you know what? Thank you, because it's been really lovely working with you.
No, it has. It's been really fun. Thank you so much for having me. We've got a new friendship here. We keep holding each other's hands. We're awful, aren't we?
All right. Thankfully for you, we're out of time, but stay with GB News, because up next, it's the political correction. Let's have a look at the weather for you, and it's dry with plenty of sunshine in many areas, although cloudier across some central and eastern parts. And the detail then, apart from a little patchy low cloud near the English Channel coast, the southwest of England can expect wall-to-wall sunshine, temperatures in the high teens. Meanwhile, more in the way of cloud affecting the southeast, and as a result, a cooler day here than of late. Easternmost parts of Wales will see cloud at times, but the rest of the country can expect to see a good deal of sunshine. Heading east into the Midlands, and here we run back into cloudier skies. The sunshine a bit more limited, with the brightest and warmest conditions developing across the West Midlands. It's going to be fine across the northeast of England with a mix of patchy cloud and sunshine. The cloud most likely to affect the North Sea coast. With light winds, it should feel quite pleasant. Some low cloud also possible near the east coast of Scotland, so Edinburgh could catch some at times. Bulk of Scotland, though, will be sunny with some warm temperatures. And clear blue skies on the cards across Northern Ireland. Although an onshore breeze will keep parts of the coast a bit cool, it will be warm inland. The dry theme continues through the afternoon